I'm waiting for. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Key of Threes, wherever you are watching from, whether that's YouTube, Twitter, or Facebook. Before we jump into these wonderful topics that we do have on tap for you guys, I do want to say make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. If you're on Twitter, like and retweet. And if you're on Facebook, share with your family and friends. Of course, we got my guy Jay, Jelson, Garrett, Devin, and Mo. And I'm your honorary key holder, TB, Trill Buckets, or Steph. And we really just gonna hop into this and get right into the first topic, which is Cat versus Sabonis. Now, I personally believe that this is more of an argument due to Cat being injured this year. And I've seen this argument come up a lot, this debate topic. So I'm intrigued to see what the guys think, what they believe. And first, we're going to start off with my guy, Jay.
All right, so in my opinion, there's a lot of debate about who's better, whether it be Domantas Sabonis or Karl-Anthony Towns. I'm on the side that supports Sabonis. I'm not gonna lie. I think Sabonis contributes to winning at a way higher level than Karl-Anthony Towns has showed so far in his career. For instance, in the 2018 playoffs, on the Pacers team led by Victor Oladipo, Sabonis led was second actually in offensive rating and offensive win shares. He also led in win shares in the regular season as well. And he averaged 8 points, 7 rebounds, and 4 assists in the 2019 playoffs, but was still second in offensive rating and offensive win shares. I think his stats don't directly show that it contributes to winning, but him on the court, if you watch him, he plays hard. He's the type of connector type of player you want on your team that makes everybody else better for the team as a whole. But now the 2023 regular season led the Kings in offensive win shares, value over replacement player, and box plus minus. I mean, this was the Kings' first playoff appearance in how long was it? Like 16 years or more?
17, I think.
17.
Yeah.
17 years. Boom. Sabonis, replace Sabonis with Tyrese Halliburton. A lot of you guys are high on Tyrese Halliburton, say he's better than LaMelo and stuff like that. I don't believe that. He didn't make the playoffs this year. Sabonis did, but that's not the debate here. Sabonis was the offensive piece that was missing to really elevate this Sacramento Kings team. I mean, he had Malik Monk looking special out there. Kevin Huerter was white hot to begin the season. Dribble handoffs, playmaking bigs, they're going to take over the league. Promise you that. And he's way better than Karl-Anthony Towns. Both haven't made it out the second round either, but I mean, made it out the first round. But I believe Domantas Sabonis, you can get further with him on your roster than a guy like Karl-Anthony Towns. I mean, when they were playing up against the Nuggets, he had a worse plus minus and offensive win share than Rudy Gobert. I mean, he was straight dog shit. Let's be honest. I would much rather have Domantas Sabonis on my team compared to Karl-Anthony Towns.
Okay, since quite obviously your favorite stat in the world is win shares, I'm going to bring up you some stats that doesn't make any sense in your argument because Karl-Anthony Towns has more win shares than Domantas Sabonis does. In their second seasons, which for Sabonis was the 2018 season, we want to look at his win shares, 4.7, okay? Let's look at Cat's second season. His win shares was 12.7. It's not close. It's not similar at all. Karl-Anthony Towns was the better player in their second years, respectively. If you want to compare strictly 2018 seasons, Cat had 14 win shares. So win shares is not a stat that we can look at and say Sabonis is definitively better because of this, because Sabonis had worse win shares than Karl-Anthony Towns himself. So that doesn't work. Okay.
Let me just rebuttal you right there. Hold up. I would say Domantas Sabonis didn't get the playing time to get the productivity as Karl-Anthony Towns would, but
okay, fine. We can do that. We can actually do that because
let's do it.
Domantas Sabonis has never, ever in his entire career had a win share on a season above 3.5. Karl-Anthony Towns had 14 in his third year.
I love that stat. Awesome. But go to the playoffs and let's talk about this year.
If we
let's
want
talk about what just happened in the playoffs. Who led in win shares? It's not Karl-Anthony Towns. It's their new star.
okay, that's
I
fine.
don't think we can use that the same
way,
way, man. I think everyone can agree here that Kevon Looney was cooking against Sabonis in the first round. And this is Kevon Looney, man. He's not even in this talk.
I want to say this.
Never will be.
Kevon Looney was cooking Domantas Sabonis, and Karl-Anthony Towns was coming off of a completely torn calf. Okay, these are not similar situations at all. Okay, also, let's look at career accomplishments, because if that's also what you want to look at, it's not close either. Karl-Anthony Towns, 3-time All-Star, a 2-time All-NBA. Domantas Sabonis is also a 3-time All-Star. Respect him, but a 1-time All-NBA. Karl-Anthony Towns was Rookie of the Year in his year and has averaged 23 points per game on his career. Okay, just to get this over with, Sabonis has never averaged a season averaging over 20 points per game. It's never happened. Also, talking about defense, because people like to bash Karl-Anthony Towns about being a bad defender. It's not close either, because if you look at their career defensive shares, it's Karl-Anthony Towns is higher. And if we want to look at pure stats, okay, on their careers, Karl-Anthony Towns has averaged 1.3 blocks per game versus 0.5 blocks per game on Sabonis. When we look at steals, we're talking about big men here, okay? Steals shouldn't even be a big factor, but if we want to bring it up, right, they average the same amount, okay? So defense, what everybody bashes Karl-Anthony Towns for, right, if they are equal level or Cat is better and Cat is also a better offensive player statistically, then there shouldn't be a debate here. When we talk about playmaking, all right, we can look at the playmaking numbers. Sabonis is only slightly better in playmaking when it comes to assists to turnover ratio. To me, it feels like there's no competition, especially the fact that Karl-Anthony Towns has been All-NBA one more year. He's averaged more points on his career. He's won, for whatever it's worth, he's won a 3-point shooting contest when in reality, Domantas Sabonis can't even hit a mid-range shot in the playoffs. So if we're talking about everything, we can literally collectively, Karl-Anthony Towns is a better player by pretty much every metric except for assists to turnover ratio, which, to be honest, as we've talked about in the past, completely different situations. Sabonis, as a player, for a quote-unquote Jokic light, I don't know. I don't think he's quite that. If anything, he's just a slightly better when it comes to assist numbers and slightly worse when it comes to defense and offense version of Karl-Anthony Towns. And he's shorter, and he has worse career accomplishments. And like, I don't get. Garrett, I'll let you go because I don't understand the conversation.
Yeah, I'm on the same side as you, Jelson. I don't know, like I said, I don't know what Jay's cooking over there. But no, so like the thing is though, like I've been critical of both these players, and I feel like they both in some ways deserve some criticism. When we look at Sabonis, I mean, I don't know if this is more so, and I will kind of give Jay the benefit of the doubt that, like, even when you were going into like Rookie of the Year and stuff like that, Jelson, like if this is a debate we're talking about right now. However, I'm still taking Karl-Anthony Towns right now over Domantas Sabonis. And the reason is because I feel like Domantas Sabonis is a very limited player. When you think about his offensive game, like we saw even in the playoffs, they were giving him those open shots that I feel like personally he's kind of regressed in. Something else he's regressed in is as a defender. His defensive rating ever since he became an all-star caliber player has only gotten worse and worse and worse over the last 5 years. Okay, so those things considered, and I know you love, I know, Jay, you love to mention how, like stuff like the inverted pick and roll and like, some of these like playmaking bigs and stuff like that, they're taking over the game. And you mentioned guys like Jokic and guys like Bam and stuff. The difference with that is that Bam is one of the better defenders in the league. Jokic, even though the casuals won't agree, he's a pretty good defender. He gets his hands in the passing lanes and he can strip the ball a lot too. Domantas Sabonis is not. And I don't have the stats in front of me right now, but I vividly remember, like, I think it was like in the last month of the year, some of the best defensive lineups in the league, there were 2 of them that were notable for the Sacramento Kings. And it featured their other 4 starters and Davion Mitchell. And another one featured their other 4 starters and Trey Lyles. But the only starter that wasn't in both of those lineups was Domantas Sabonis, because defensively, he is a liability. And I get it, Karl-Anthony Towns, we're not going to make him seem like some premier level Hakeem Olajuwon, Dikembe Mutombo type of defender, but I would at least rather trust him probably in that respect than Sabonis. And at the same time, yeah, he's struggled shooting the ball in the playoffs too, especially from 3-point range when he self-proclaims himself as the best shooting big, which that's a different debate for another day. But at least to the extent he can kind of stretch out the floor a little bit as a 3-level scorer. Domantas Sabonis cannot do that. And so while we're talking about like, yeah, he might pass the ball more, he might get more assists, all this stuff, part of that is because Domantas Sabonis isn't able to create the same way offensively that Karl-Anthony Towns can. And that's just the facts. I mean, I remember like, I think like me, Jelson, Steph, I think you might have been in there, Mo, and stuff, and like Trent or whatever. Like we were talking about Cat and Bam one day, and I remember like one of the things that stood out the most in favor of Cat in that discussion is just how much he had to carry as a playmaker in the playoffs last year, not this past year, but the year before. So he's definitely had that burden to carry. When I look at Sabonis in the playoffs, like I know you were mentioning, like look at the playoffs. Like I know Jay, you were mentioning, like look at the playoffs and look what they both done. They both have played 20 or less playoff games. To me, that doesn't move the needle at all. If we were talking about all-time scoring lists, like in the playoff and like averages and stuff like that, neither of them would even qualify because they made the playoffs so little. And I think part of it too is just looking at Karl-Anthony Towns and the franchise he was brought into. Like, let's not forget that. I know you mentioned like, oh, the Sacramento Kings, you know, they hadn't made the playoffs in 17 years. Well, Karl-Anthony Towns also was a big part in the reason of ending a 14-year drought, and yet he still has continued to do that and make a back-to-back playoff appearances the last 2 years with Minnesota, something they hadn't done in more than 2 decades, which is even longer than 17 years. And that's the now. You know, I'm using partially the past to mention 2018, but part of what they wanted to do this year was develop a playoff culture, and now they made it back-to-back years. They're probably going to be a playoff team once again. And for Minnesota standards, that's pretty good, especially because Sacramento, their standards aren't that great either. I know they have a title, but my God, that was like 4 times longer than my age ago. You know what I mean? Like that's how long ago it was the last time they won. And just in the playoffs, I mean, like, yeah, Karl-Anthony Towns, he got outplayed by Nikola Jokic, who is arguably the best player in the league right now. You know, he had to go up against the Houston Rockets in 1 year and stuff like that. Okay, those are really, really, really good teams. Like every single year, he's either been like a 7 or 8 seed. You know, Sabonis, sometimes he's kind of gotten like not the hardest matchup, I would say, but he hasn't always played up to his standard, especially I think in 2019, but especially this year too. And if we are talking about the now, I was not impressed with what Domantas Sabonis did in the playoffs. I feel like after the whole situation where like Draymond like stepped on his chest or whatever, I feel like he had a terrible last couple games in that playoff series. And I don't know. I feel like, you know, Cat, he struggled the first couple games in his playoff series, and then he kind of turned it around near the end. I'm still taking Karl-Anthony Towns. I think he's just a more skilled player. I trust him a little bit more defensively, even though I wouldn't bank on either of these guys that much defensively. But when we're comparing Towns and Sabonis, I'll take Towns. And I think that he's just a more well-rounded player than Sabonis. Sabonis passes more, but I mean, I don't know. Like I think also it's to the benefit that he's playing with a lot of shooters, literally the beam team. So I'm taking Cat, and that's kind of like my main argument.
That's definitely fair. You and Jacob both make a good case, but I'm with you, Jay. I got Sabonis here as well. And some of the things we've brought up to me are just really hard to decipher between these two guys, because we've talked about some of the defensive things and Karl-Anthony Towns being slightly better, debatably, on the defensive end. They're both bad, and I don't see much between them on that end, personally. I don't consider that much in the equation. Same can be said for their postseason performances. They both haven't been great in the postseason, historically. I'm not moved by either of them either way. Neither of them have been positive postseason performers, and I'm not holding that to their positive for Cat or for Sabonis. Where I give Sabonis a bit of an edge is some of the intangibles that don't show up as much on the stat sheet or aren't the flashy numbers. His rebounding being one of those things. Not the Cat, again, is a bad rebounder, but Sabonis just continues to be one of the best rebounding bigs in the league, and that continues to go undernoticed.
Except in the playoffs, right?
Like I said, they're both bad in the playoffs. I've acknowledged that. and the rebounding was part of that. And that goes for Sabonis and Karl-Anthony Towns. But I got to give him credit for what he did during the regular season too. And during the regular season, he was very good on the glass. As far as screening goes, again, it's an undervalued thing, but in my opinion, he's one of the best screeners in the league. Again, not that Karl-Anthony Towns is a bad one, but I think Sabonis is much more effective in that area. And like you mentioned, Garrett, he does look better in that department because he has good shooters around him, because he has De'Aaron Fox getting buckets off of those screens, but he still sets very good screens as well and gets good opportunities for the guys around him. And we're talking down a bit on his playmaking and his passing ability here, which I get, again, to a point because of the talent around him, but he still has been, not just in Sacramento with good shooters and good players around him, throughout his time with the Pacers, once he started to expand his role and wasn't just shooting threes like he was in OKC, he's consistently been a very good passer. He's consistently been able to get guys good looks within the offense. And although Karl-Anthony Towns might have the avenue of his spacing and his three-point shooting, the level of passing and playmaking that Sabonis has is just not something that Karl-Anthony Towns has in the same way in his arsenal, that I think gets really undervalued still in his game. Does it get limited in the postseason? Yes. I'm definitely not high on Sabonis in the postseason, but I'm not high on Karl-Anthony Towns in the postseason either. So what I've seen from these two guys in the regular season, especially just as of now, over the last 12 to 16 months, the little things and the little intangibles that Sabonis has is what pushes him over the edge for me.
Sorry, Mo, before you go real quick, I just wanted to
like
add
that,
something.
Devin.
Are we seriously going to sit here and say that his screen setting, like essentially what we're saying is his screen setting is what puts him over, even though Karl-Anthony Towns is a better shooter, better spacer, better, like, and I want to say this, at least Cat is a league average post defender. Sabonis isn't even that. Okay. So what I will tell you is I don't think we can say, oh, he sets better screens, so that takes him over the edge of a better shooter, percentage-wise, efficiency-wise, volume-wise, whatever stat you want to go over. I can't sit here and say, oh, he sets better screens and is a good passer, when in reality, Cat is a really good passer as well. And I think the it's underwhelming, or people undervalue what Cat brings to the table when it comes to playmaking, because he's a 3-point shooting big man, not a flashy passer, Jokic or whatever. What he has and brings to the table is a consistent offensive game. Playoffs, even when he's playing bad, he's still playing better than Sabonis has ever played in the playoffs. So you could say it's a wash or whatever, but I just think
know
that.
About that. I was gonna try to let you get away with it, but I don't know.
It's on you, Mo. What you think?
So, despite what Jacob just said, and I didn't want to let him get away with that because that was
no. Tell me. What was it? What one?
You said although Karl-Anthony Towns has played bad, he's played better than Sabonis has in the playoffs. He was pretty terrible during that last season's playoff, not this season's playoff, last season's playoffs. And they really could have used him. They played the Grizzlies last season, correct? Yeah. He was like non-existent through most of those games. I think he might have had one good game, but I'm shitting on Sabonis I'm shitting on Cat right now, but I have Cat is better than Sabonis. I think that this argument is a product of, what was it, a hamstring injury that kept Karl-Anthony Towns out for significant time. Originally, it was like he was going to be evaluated in a few weeks. Turned into radio silence, and then towards the end of the season, he was like, "Oh, Karl-Anthony Towns is back in the lineup, so great." But unfortunate that we didn't get to see a full season of Karl-Anthony Towns. I do like Cat's game, and it's also unfortunate that he kind of got sabotaged by the Timberwolves organization by bringing in Rudy Gobert. Again, that fit is just not. It's just not there. Whether you want to have Cat play the 4 and or play the 5, now you don't have a choice because you bring in Rudy Gobert and you conflate Karl-Anthony Towns to that 4 position unless Rudy Gobert is off the floor. But what I wanted to talk about was the notion that the regular season is the reason that Sabonis is better than Cat. when we didn't get to see a full regular season from Karl-Anthony Towns. In addition to this being Sabonis's best regular season, and Karl-Anthony Towns has clearly played better than this in the regular season before. We talk about the playoffs; they both not good playoff performers. Even still, Sabonis was very bad for the Kings, especially during like certain times when they needed him to be like not trash. He was not good during this playoffs. I think he had some moments where he looked all right, but the Warriors basically schemed him out, which is something that you can't have happen to a starting level talent. Damn it, I lost my train of thought. No, I didn't. We back. Also, I think we're conflating team success with who's better as a player. Obviously, the Kings, had a significantly better season than the Timberwolves. And that's to Sabonis's credit because, with the addition of Sabonis and the leaps that De'Aaron Fox took and just the team in general, this was a very good team. But I don't want to get it confused and think that because their team was so good, Sabonis is better than Karl-Anthony Towns. A large part of their success, and I can't knock him for that. But you look past that regular season, look what he did in the playoffs, wasn't good. I can't take the best year of Sabonis's career and compare it to Karl-Anthony Towns, who's proven to be at least that level player or higher, and I would say comfortably higher than Sabonis played in this regular season. It just seems a little disingenuous to me. I guess we can maybe revisit this like 10 games into the season because by the end, I think this won't even be a conversation because I think Karl-Anthony Towns is better than Sabonis. Just unfortunate we didn't get to see him healthy. And if we saw him healthy, I also don't think that this would have been a conversation at all. So I'm disagreeing with y'all. I got Sabonis. I got Cat. Excuse me.
Yeah, and I mean, clearly I agree with that. The only thing I have to say kind of about like what you're saying with the Memphis series in particular last year, I mean, like more than half the games of that series, I thought Cat played pretty good. The biggest thing with him is like he was in foul trouble a lot in that series. And that's not like something that Sabonis has always been like, free of either. I think in this playoffs, he struggled with that too. But like just in that series last year, Cat had like 5 turnovers in 3 of the 6 games. And like this year, Sabonis also had 5 turnovers or more in 3 of the games. I think he had more turnovers than assists in more than half the games in this series too. So like all those things considered, I mean, like, yeah, you could argue that, but at the same time too, I mean, Cat's still putting up like 22 and 11. He's shooting really good from 3. I would argue that that's better than any single playoff performance, like for a series wise, that Sabonis has ever done. So from what JELSON was kind of saying earlier, I do agree with that. But I mean, yeah, like I still agree with like the premise, Mo. Like I still am taking Towns over Sabonis.
Yeah, I just wanted to add this. So we talked about how Cat had a bad offensive series against the Grizzlies 2 years ago. As Garrett was mentioning, he played well. Like there was a couple of stinkers in there. I'm not gonna lie. Obviously, everybody knows about that, and everybody holds him to that. But everybody holds him to the very bottom of the barrel that he had, which of course he had the one really bad game where he only had 8 points. He didn't shoot well. Didn't play that many minutes because of foul trouble. But people refuse to talk about how in game 1 he dropped 29 points on 60% shooting, and how in game 3 he dropped 33 points on 75% shooting, and how in game that was the game 4 he dropped 33 points. In game 5 he dropped 28 points on almost 50% shooting.
In both their wins that series, he was probably the biggest reason why. I know Cat had a great scoring performance too in game 1, or not Cat, Ant, but you could argue that both ways, but I thought Cat was also really good. I think more so people were paying more attention to Ant in that specific series because we all knew Ant, now we see it this year. Like he's playing like an all-star, probably could be like a superstar next year. But at that point, like for most of that season, we still were like, yeah, he's pretty good. Like he'll probably be an all-star at one point, but like we didn't expect him to like break out like that in the playoffs either. But I think that's kind of like what does it when we're talking about Cat, that playoffs, because we're like, well, Cat's been an all-star since like 2018. Like he should be doing this, by now. But at the same time too, like when we're comparing him to Domantas Sabonis, it's like, has he done anything like different from that or better than like that situation that we could like praise him and like some in a light that we haven't been able to praise Cat? And the answer to that, in my opinion, is no. In fact, I think like you could give more credit to Cat in that specific playoff series than any other time in the playoffs for Sabonis, really.
All right, so first of all, let's not get this misconstrued. The only thing Sabonis lacked in the playoffs is shooting and a bit of defense. He does
and
everything
rebounding.
else.
That's like 80% of the game today, but go ahead.
Like I said, he does everything else on the basketball court that you want from
yeah, like so he's a passer.
Things,
please
bro
brought up the Josh Giddey negatives in the draft. Shooting, passing, defense, rebounds. Like, bro.
Hey.
All right, anyways,
no Josh Giddey slander here.
No, I love my boy Josh Giddey, but I find it funny how that's literally basically what you were saying.
All right,
like, bro, Sabonis isn't supposed to be the Guangdong Draymond Green. Like, come on, man.
Wait, hold on. Listen. All right, Gary, you were saying that Karl-Anthony Towns produces more offense than Sabonis. That's cap. That's straight cap. Let's not underrate his.
Whoa. Wait, no. That's not what I said, though. That's not what I said. Go ahead, but then I'm gonna respond.
That's what you
said.
Right. That is what you said.
That's not bad. Okay, go and then I'll respond.
Wait. Let me get the proper statement then. Let me not misquote you.
I said I feel like Cat is a more well-rounded offensive player because of the fact that he can play make and his scoring is like at a 3-level ability. I mean, he's one of the best, maybe the best 3-point shooting big ever. He's definitely in that discussion. As for Sabonis, like, bro, his game in the post is not bad. It's really not even too reliable, if we're being honest. But also, like, when he stretches out to the 10, 15-foot spot and even further out, he's regressed, and he really was never even that good, like, at that from the jump. So when we're talking about that and, combine with his, like, playmaking, which I'll give Sabonis the edge there, but I think it's really closer than what people think. It's just that Cat's not asked to be like the facilitator that Sabonis has been asked to on certain teams. He played with De'Aaron Fox. De'Aaron Fox is a combo guard more so, if you ask me. That's just the way he plays. I know he can play make. He can set other people up, but he also plays like a combo guard. And then he also played with like Malcolm Brogdon. Malcolm Brogdon to me is the perfect catch and shoot player. He's not like a true point guard. You would even agree with that yourself. Didn't you say that? Isn't there a TikTok we have that Malcolm Brogdon is not like the playmaker for the Celtics?
No, absolutely. You're absolutely right.
There we go. I mean,
but what I think is that I feel like you guys aren't appreciating the playmaking aspect of Sabonis' game, because it does take skill to find your guys and actually hit them when they're open. There's a lot of primary ball handlers in this league that don't hit their guys when they're open, and Sabonis does, and that's part of what he does to make his teammates better. And I think that attributed to the Sacramento Kings being the 3rd seed. Karl-Anthony Towns was never a 4th seed or above. He's not that guy. Sabonis attributes to winning way more than
Whoa. So you're telling me Sabonis himself carried that team to the 3rd seed? Because that is the most ludicrous statement I've ever heard in my life.
I didn't say that, but he was the connector that got them there.
So let me tell you this. And Carl, so this is the best team Sabonis has ever had around him. This year would have been Cat's best team he's ever had around him. He was injured and missed 62, 63 games. So if Cat was healthy this whole season, we could play the what if game, right? Because if we're saying
you're playing it, not me. You're playing it.
Because guess what? We don't have enough film. We don't have enough tape.
I do want to jump in that real quick though, and I do want to say that, like Ben said in the comments before, regardless of if Cat played or not, I do not think the Timberwolves are going to be one of the most efficient teams that we've ever seen. Regardless of what you say, that's just not happening. Especially with the kind of guys you have on your court, on your team. Rudy Gobert.
How is that a knock on Cat though? That shouldn't be a knock on Cat.
No. It's not that it's a knock on Cat. It's the fact that, my bad, Gary, I'll let you go after this. It's not that it's a knock on Cat. It's the fact that you said he missed X amount of games, which contributed to why his regular season isn't at the level it is. So what I'm saying is, even if he did play those games, I don't see him being the offensive hub for that team and making them one of the most efficient teams we've ever seen, the same way we saw with Sabonis.
So as Steph was talking there, I pulled it up. I wanted to be certain because Jay makes a point that, and I'll agree. I'll give you this year because they were the 3 seed. Although if you're asking me, I still feel like De'Aaron Fox is the best player in that Sacramento Kings team. But if you want to, outside of that, there was one other time, and okay, so you're even saying that yourself. There was one other time that Sabonis was on a top 4 seed in his career where he was, arguably the key player, 2020. And I just want to bring that up since top 4 matters to you so much. I looked up the historical standings of when the season was suspended, right? The season was suspended in 2020 because that was the year. Because Sabonis didn't play at all in the bubble. Let me remind you. The Pacers at that point were the 6th seed. They were not a top 4 seed. They got the top 4 seed in the bubble. You know why? Because bubble TJ Warren. But I'm gonna just say that to you right now. There has never been a moment, in my opinion, that he's been the best player on a top 4 producing team. It just hasn't happened. So
I never seen Karl-Anthony Towns do it either.
Well, but I'm saying you use that as like a pro for Sabonis, but you used it as like a con against Cat. You see what I'm getting at, really?
My pro is that Sabonis is the connector that activates the winning for the Sacramento Kings. Towns is not that. I'll give it to
I don't agree with that either.
If we wouldn't do
I don't
that.
agree with that either. I mean, Sabonis is important to the Kings, but there's no more important part to that team than De'Aaron Fox. Let's get it straight.
Let me ask you guys real quick before we go on to the next discussion. Well, 2 questions, actually. Is Cat the best player on his team going into this season, 1? No. And 2, if you are starting a team from scratch today, which player are you picking?
Okay, we'll go in a line. Jay, you go.
Between who?
Cat and Sabonis.
Jay, you can go. We'll go in a line.
All right. I'll take Karl-Anthony Towns.
Well, okay, dude.
No way.
You're joking?
This is like the Jalen Brunson #1 pick all over again.
There's no way.
You did it again.
Yo, Justin, go, bro.
Yo, Jay, you gotta stop, bro.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. Now that you're mentioning it, Sabonis. No, I'm kidding. Absolutely not. Karl-Anthony Towns, and it's not a debate.
So
Jay,
my answer to the first question, you said, shoot, what was your first question?
Is Cat coming into the season, or better yet,
either than the best player on their team was their first question, right?
Oh, he's not.
That answer, I will say no. I think Anthony Edwards is better than Cat. I think De'Aaron Fox is better than Sabonis.
Okay.
Now I would rather start with Cat, and a big reason why too is because we're starting to see like more so the players that have a great jump shot. It seems like their game ages better, and I know I'm going to get that from Cat. I don't know if I'm ever going to get that from Sabonis, and that's a big reason why. Like when we were having like a stream a couple weeks ago or something, I'm like, if you could find a way to trade Sabonis now while his value is higher than maybe it ever will be, like maybe try and do that. Like that's not like a crazy thing. I know it's like, yeah, you just got to the playoffs first time in 17 years. Seems ridiculous, but you might want to try and do that because I don't know what his shelf life is compared to Cat. And yeah, so I would take Cat for the long run if I had to build a team. But I mean, I don't think either of these guys can be the best player on like a championship team anyways. But Cat if I had to choose.
For sure.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think either of them are #1s, but yeah, I'm in the same boat in that I think Ant's better than Towns and Fox is the #1 on the Kings, but give me Sabonis if I'm picking today.
Standing on it, I like it.
I'm standing on it, man. If I'm making a take,
Jay, you pussy. That's what he said.
And if I'm starting from today, the other thing that I'm worried about Towns more so than I am with Sabonis is given Towns was very healthy and very available the first 4 seasons of his career. Since then, not anywhere near as much, and that's another concern for me as well.
Valid.
I mean, Sabonis has had injury concerns though too, so I don't know.
But Cat has played the 50, 74, 35, and 29 games over the last 4 years, so that's where I'm concerned.
I'm not gonna lie, my answers don't change. I'm still taking Karl-Anthony Towns. I'm starting the franchise right now, and Anthony Edwards is, I would say, you know what? I'm not even going to do that. Anthony Edwards is better. I was going to say comfortably, and I apologize if you can hear that. I'm literally right outside a damn street. So yeah, but
I think we all are. I'm not going to lie.
like less than 10 feet is a road, but whatever. Yeah, Anthony Edwards is going to be, well, not even, he is the best player on that team moving forward. And yeah, Karl-Anthony Towns is who I'm going to pick to start a franchise with. I'm not trying to be disrespectful to Sabonis, but in what world is Domantas Sabonis better than Karl-Anthony Towns? Like, I don't see it. I don't see it.
And personally, I am right with the majority on that one. I'm picking Cat as well. I'm not gonna lie, I actually did try to sway myself to pick Sabonis and find ways to pick him, but I just, even when we look at the totality of them as players, we know they're both bad in the playoffs, so it's a wash. I don't like comparing 2- defenders because that's stupid, Jelson. Secondly,
Jeez, all right.
and but above all else, Cat is that dude talent wise, and honestly, it's hard to say whether one or the other will contribute more winning wise because in the playoffs we've both seen them to be very bad. But let me know what you guys think down below. Are y'all picking Cat or Sabonis? Now we're about to move on to the next topic, which is going to be the greatest playoff risers ever. Now, as of lately, we've seen some great risers in Jamal Murray on the West, Jimmy Butler on the East. Even back in the day, we've had a lot of playoff risers that didn't really have the craziest regular season, but when it comes to playoff time, they're that dude. So again, we're going to switch it up this time. I'm going to throw my guy Garrett up there first, only because I know he's an NBA historian, and I think he might pull a name out that some of us might not expect.
I'm the sports historian here. I'll try to
that is facts. He is. So wait. Okay, yeah. So let me also preface that this is about, at least for me, the way I took this is the greatest playoff risers, as in what you did in the regular season compared to what you did in the playoffs, and just how much you elevate your game. Now, some things could incorporate context a little more than others, but this is kind of a tough one. So how do we want to do this, Steph? You want me to just list my number 5 and then everyone does 5, everyone does 4, 3, 2, 1, or?
Oh, I don't have 5.
I thought we were just doing one. I'm not gonna lie.
I thought we had a list and then we were just picking one from the list.
Oh shoot, my bad.
I just chose one guy.
Me too, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Obviously, we can't find the greatest because it's subjective, but
okay.
I guess I would say your number 1 playoff riser, or if you want to go another direction, one of your favorite guys to watch in the playoffs that was a riser.
That makes it a little bit better because I was probably going to throw out a few names near the end that you guys would have been questioning, but I'm gonna go. I'm gonna be so based. I guess with this answer, it's gonna be so obvious, but I gotta go with the greatest player of all time, and that is
LeBron
Michael
James.
Jordan. And that is Michael Jordan. When you're talking about MJ and the ultimate scorer in the playoffs, the guy led the league in scoring in the playoffs like 11 times. I mean, that's just absurd. And the times he didn't, crazy. He still was averaging like 31, 32, 36. My goodness. Okay. And at the same time too, like the reason I had to put him like as my primary one is when you think back to every NBA legend, you can always think back about something, like when we think of LeBron, we can think of the 2011 finals. When we think about Kobe, some people bring up the 2004 finals. We think about Tim Duncan. We think of the 2011 first round against the Grizzlies. It's like, you got to incorporate, I think, the whole big picture. You got to add in everything. Now, when you're talking about Michael Jordan and like what series he played bad in, the worst series you could probably find would be 1995 when he came back against the Orlando Magic off baseball. And he still put up 31 a game, and even Shaq himself has
actually.
And even Shaq himself has said that he was still the best player in the world in that series at that point in time. I'm not holding that against him. That was an insane series, if you ask me. He still played well. Now, there were some little things like, at the end of game 1, he got stripped by Nick Anderson, and I know that's always going to be out there and stuff like that. And there's like in one of the games, he had like one air ball in the fourth quarter that always gets played. But overall, if you ask me, still, Michael Jordan, there is no series that you can look at and be like, oh, yeah, like he was just bad in that series. The same way we look at every other player today. You know, like the worst scoring series he had, he averaged 26.5 points a game. Think about that. 26.5 points a game was his ultimate. It was his lowest point, right? Every single player he played in the playoffs, he outscored ever in history, in playoff history. That's crazy. And you think about it, it's like, oh, well, if he'd only played 30, 40 games, this guy's played like 180 games basically in the playoffs. That's up there with one of the most ever. When you think about the finals, he only elevated his game even more. Has the highest scoring average for a single finals series ever. And he had over 40 points per game 5 times in the playoffs. I think it's only been done 8 times. 8 times in playoff series, someone has averaged 40 points a game. Michael Jordan has 5 of them. 5. Okay, so
that's wild.
That's wild. Yeah, and
it's like he almost persuaded me.
And it's not like he only just did it like in scoring either. He's still, I believe, I don't know if actually it was changed in the last 2 years, but I know up to last year, guess who had the record for the most assists per game in a final series for a non-point guard? Michael Jordan. Really? Michael Jordan, the guy who only scores, he's a ball hog, he doesn't pass, and at the same time, he averaged like 7 assists a game in like 10 other playoff series. This guy always elevated his game. He is the ultimate winner. He's the ultimate competitor, and probably not just basketball, but in all sports. Like when you think of the greatest athletes ever, Michael Jordan's name is probably the first one you think of, or one of the first ones you ever think of. And for that reason alone, I know he has high standards in the regular season to compare it with, because it's like he has like 5 MVPs. He was All-NBA first team a lot of times too. But when you think about you're still elevating your game in the playoffs to that degree, I have to put him number 1. And there were a few other guys I thought about too, but nothing compares to Mike. So give me Michael Jordan.
All right, Garrett, I hear you. And before I respond and give my opinion, that's such an American take. You said Michael Jordan is the ultimate winner and probably one of the well, he is one of the first names you think of, but that's an American take. And I'm not going to push back on it too hard because this is a basketball show. And that's not a basketball opinion that I was going to share out. But, yeah. So, with mine, I will. Respect Brian, okay? Respect Brian, Kiara. Enough about Joe Gamble. Enough about Joe Gamble. This player might come out of left field, and it might take a little bit of convincing for me to actually persuade you guys. But, I mean, we just saw championship run, finals MVP. Give me Nikola Jokic. Now, Nikola Jokic to this point in his career has been stellar in the playoffs. You think about one of the few players whose efficiency goes up in the playoffs. He was averaging something ridiculous, very, very close to 50, 40, 90 in this playoffs. I think it was close to like 55, 40, 90 or something like that. So, yeah, Jokic, we all know that Jokic is an efficiency monster in the regular season. For him to carry that during the postseason, where the defense is tighter and you're not going to get as many open looks as you would compared to the regular season, supremely impressive. And I want to also bring this up. During this playoff run, he dropped 43 points in a loss, 53 points in a loss, and 41 points in a loss. That was 3 different series he did that, 3 different games, all of them ended in losses. Obviously, I wouldn't put the losses on him, and a loss is a loss, so you're not gonna give brownie points for losing. But like it ain't very much else you can ask for your star player to give you 40 points and 50 points, and you still end up losing. Another thing I want to bring up, Jokic has 3 games in the playoffs where he scored within 40 to 49 points. He has 1 50-point game. Obviously, we just saw that this season. He has 22 games where he scored from 30 to 39 points. Now, if you add that up, 22 plus 3, 25, 26, if you add the 50-point game. He's started 68 playoff games, and he has 26. 26 where he scored at least 30 or more. That's a high pedigree. You also want to look at he's a double-double machine in the playoffs because he's already a great rebounder. That doesn't really go away during the playoffs. He has 50 total playoff double-doubles, again, in 68 starts. And if you want to go even further, because we know Jokic is a great assist man, we know he's a elite passer. He has 16 triple-doubles in 68 starts. I know that his playoff success has only come recently, with him only having the one ring and 2 conference finals trips. But Jokic is a stellar playoff performer. And I think he kind of gets overlooked by playing with Jamal Murray, which is a crazy thing to say because we think of Jamal Murray as like one of the best playoff risers today. And he absolutely is. I'm not taking that away from him. But when you look at Jokic and some of the things that he was doing when Jamal Murray was hurt, when Michael Porter Jr. was hurt, go rewatch that Warrior series. He was great during that Warrior series. A lot of people try to say, "Oh, Draymond, he did his thing defensively." He really didn't. Another series that I can point to, the Trailblazer series, where I think didn't Dame drop 55 in a loss or something like that? And that series, he was great. So I can point to multiple series where Nikola Jokic has just been stellar. So yeah, he's my pick for that. He's my pick for one of the best playoff risers of all time. And I think we're going to see a lot more of Jokic rising in the playoffs very, very soon.
For sure.
So when it comes to playoff risers, I was thinking more players that I was alive to watch and witness, and I enjoyed like playing and saw the greatness. With Michael Jordan, like Garrett, you made an absolutely great point, and I would argue that he probably is the greatest playoff riser of all time. But I was not alive for a lot of this. I enjoyed watching the man behind Jay give me Kobe, Bean, Bryant for the best playoff riser in my lifetime. I like Kobe a lot. Personally, I feel like everybody here, I don't think there's not very many people on this planet that do not have Kobe Bryant as one of their favorite players of all time. So I understand that doesn't have a lot to do with playoff success, but a lot of the times public reputation and enjoyment of a player comes through the playoffs, and I'll explain to you exactly why. Just his last playoff series, last playoff performance, he averaged 30 points a game, which is crazy. 2011, 2012, he averaged 30 again in 2009, 2010, averaged 30 again in 08, 09, averaged 30 again in 07, 08.
He had a 40-piece too in his last ever playoff game, which is the second most ever in a last game, only behind Michael Jordan's 45 in Game 6 of '98 Finals. But continue.
Yes.
Shit, maybe he was a sports historian. Damn.
Hey, man. I don't know.
Yeah, as I was saying, he had 30 average in 07, 08. He averaged 33 in 06 to 07. He averaged 30 in 2000, 2001. Averaged 32 in 02 to 03. I mean, it's a guy like when you compare this to maybe like Michael Jeffrey Jorfrod's stats, like it's not quite the same.
Stop.
But like in my experience from my lifetime watching basketball and my enjoyment, Kobe Bryant was always a riser, was always the top talking point on the media, was always in the newspapers. Everybody was talking about Michael Jeffrey Jorfrod being worse than Kobe. Okay. No, but in reality, I think Kobe Bryant is the top playoff performer, at least in my lifetime.
No, Justin, you are actually right. That was a conversation for some time. I was old enough to remember there were conversations where people were putting Kobe above Jordan and stuff. There was a time. It was a short-lived time. There was a time.
There's a whole song on it too. Like there's like the Kobe Jordan song. If you guys have ever heard that, it's a solid listen. It's pretty good.
There was a time, and like I can't push that narrative today, but like, hey, there was a time where it's like, hey, is Kobe like that? And Kobe was like that. He just wasn't like that. You know what I'm saying? But
time out. What's that second like that mean?
He wasn't like Jordan. He was not the same as Jordan.
Shit.
He was the carbon copy. What are we talking about? Wait.
He was not as good as Jordan is what I'm saying. I will say that right now.
I'll put it to you like this. Out of any other player in history, Kobe is the one and only guy that I am willing to Yeah, that I would be willing to bet on against Jordan if he faced Jordan in the finals. The
That may-
one and
Lakers
only
fans
guy.
saying that,
That's
by the way.
fine.
He's the closest comp, but
Yeah.
I still wouldn't say he's like on that.
Yeah, I agree. Like that's the thing. Hey, you're preaching to a guy that loves Kobe Bryant over here. I love Kobe, but
It don't sound like it, but your
Just
turn,
give-
Devin.
No.
I'm a
I'm
true
not-
Kobe lover, and I'm gonna tell you now.
Well, you're a Lakers fan, so you're a
Bro
Lakers
took his
fan.
key holder abilities. He's like Devin's turn.
But what I will tell you, what I will tell you is, I'm not a Lakers fan. I enjoyed watching Kobe play, but I'm going to be objective here and say that he was not the level that Michael Jordan was. But Kobe Bryant, for a time period, for sure, was. People were talking about it. I thought it was fair for a time.
It just kills me because you started off this argument with "I've never seen Jordan play, so I can't say Jordan," and then you go
No,
and
but
say
here's the-
Jordan's better like that.
True, yeah.
But here's the
That's
thing.
the part that's like it doesn't.
No. I think Jordan's better, but I'm not going to put Jordan on that list because I never got to watch him personally with my eyes.
So then, how is he better? Because you've never. Never mind.
Garrett kind of convinced me.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie.
I see. I
Garrett-
see what Steph's saying. Like, I mean, first of all, Jelson, we both know Jordan's the correct answer here, but I mean, I see what Steph is saying. Like, it did kind of contradict itself.
Okay, true. Okay, what I would tell you is what I'm trying to say is Michael Jordan was probably the greatest playoff riser, but in my lifetime,
Okay,
Kobe
That's
was
fair.
the best.
Fair enough.
fair.
Devin, my brother,
That's fair.
why do I feel like I'm gonna get a Raptor?
You are. You
It
are.
better
gonna
not be
be
I
a
knew
Hawk.
it.
Oh, it's Kyle Lowry. It's Kyle Lowry.
It's Kyle Lowry.
I-
Come on now. That man had a goose egg and too many single-digit stat lines to be putting him as the greatest playoff riser.
he
Greatest
got a
playoff
ring
holder
with that
for
goose
like
egg.
4 years, maybe. But he did finally figure it out, and he did get his ring. But this is definitely not Kyle Lowry. It is another K though, another KL. It is Kawhi Leonard.
Let's go.
I've seen it
Yes.
right in front of my eyes, and it's just too hard to ignore. And he's just done it time and time again. And he did it before he was even a star. He did it when he was just a role player in San Antonio, and he'd rise his defense to the occasion. His offensive numbers would be better even still as a role player. He'd rise to the occasion and win a Finals MVP when he still wasn't the main guy on the Spurs before he was that true superstar that we all know him to be now. He just wasn't that guy back then, but he came out in the postseason and did what he needed to do. And he's just been at that type of level his entire career now. He's always been someone who's rose to the occasion. He's got a higher field goal percentage and higher three-point percentage during the postseason than he does during the regular season for his career. And it's not, even though I don't agree with it, there's a reason why people said that he carried this Raptors team to a ring for stretches of it. I don't agree with a lot of that, especially throughout the back half of that run. But there's a reason why people said it, and that's because Kawhi was so damn good time and time again. And even though he's had his injury concerns with the Clippers, that hasn't stopped in LA. He's continued to just rise to the occasion in LA. He's got a 28-point per game, a 30-point per game, and a 34.5-point per game postseason run, given that last one was a 2-game stint. But point being is Kawhi shows up during the postseason. He continues to produce. He continues to be more efficient. And especially now at this point in time in his career, his defense goes from being good to very good, if not elite, compared to where it is in the regular season. So he's done it from day one to where he is now as a superstar. And that's what makes it so impressive. Even as a guy who didn't enter the league as a star, someone who had to make a lot of improvements throughout his career to get to where he is now, and took a lot of time to get to the point where he was an all-star. I mean, it was year 5 until he made his first all-star appearance. He's just shown from day one, from being a role player in San Antonio to winning the chip in San Antonio to winning the chip in Toronto, and now trying his best despite the injuries in LA to try and get them a chip. And he just continues to time and time again show up on both ends of the floor, continue to produce, and continue to be more efficient.
I'm so glad you said Kawhi, Devin, because that was who I had number 2 on my list. Because, like I said, I originally made 5. He was the guy I had right below Jordan. Because when you think about Kawhi, especially since he's been like a star level player, and even before, like he's always shown up. Like the only time you could use against him is that Game 7 in the bubble, when really in the first half too, he was still pretty good. Even if he played just as good in the second half, had a quality game, they probably weren't going to win that game. It just had been the narrative up to that point. Like the whole Clippers team, like had so many issues at that point in time. It just wasn't going to happen. But when you think about 2021 and he took the Luka assignment, especially when they were down 2-0 twice, and he brought them back. I know he didn't finish the last series, but he still got them back to 2-2 in both of those. And like I said, took the Luka assignment. When he was guarding Luka struggled. Like people don't want to mention that. Like in those shot attempts, he most definitely did struggle. And you wouldn't think that because like, bro, Luka's averaging like 30, like almost a 30-point triple-double. But go check like what Kawhi did to him when he was defending him, and he most definitely made him struggle. People also never want to talk about how in the last 3 games of the 2014 finals, hey man, I know I am a LeBron hater as I am labeled, but in the last 3 games of that finals, objectively, Kawhi Leonard was better than LeBron James, and that is just facts. Like you can go check that back however you want to. It was just the reality of it. 2017, he was insane. Now he had that injury, and really injuries are the only thing that's been stopping him. I think 2019, that might be one of the best runs in the last decade. And I kind of said that a little bit last stream. And then even this year, again, he proved even in short notice that come playoff time, he's a completely different breed. So I completely agree with you. I think maybe in terms of, I don't know, like he's the only person I think you could have argued maybe, at least in my opinion, with Michael Jordan for the number 1 spot, just because of in the regular season, he doesn't care so much about the accolades and whatnot, whatever. He only had like 1 year where he was in like a real MVP discussion in like 2016, like that. Even then, like that was the unanimous MVP year, so he wasn't going to win it, but like he was the runner up that year. But other than that, like, you know, in the regular season, he's kind of just been like, it's whatever. Come playoff time though, like he turned into, in my opinion, still, when he's healthy, the best player in the world. Like that's just how good he turns in the playoffs. And I think if he's healthy again next year in the playoffs, we'll probably see the same thing. The only question is like the if part of it. But yeah, Kawhi is definitely an elite playoff riser who, unlike a lot of legends, also boosts his efficiency in the playoffs too. A lot of them, they'll take more shots, but their efficiency might go down a little. Kawhi, he'll take more shots. His efficiency definitely goes up on all levels, which is impressive.
See, I like that take. Definitely Kawhi. Speaking of efficiency, I'm going to call out the most efficient player damn near in NBA history when it comes to the playoffs, and that's LeBron James, obviously. And I'm not going to lie, it was really the 2018 playoffs is what did it for me. I'm not going to lie. 2018 LeBron James, I've never seen a better basketball player in my life. 2018 LeBron James dominated every single time he stepped on that basketball court. From that 7-game series with the Pacers in the first round, that was absolutely amazing. The way he finished that out. Then in Game 7 with the Boston Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals, phenomenal. I'm surprised the Boston Celtics, that young squad, had enough firepower for LeBron James, despite having George Hill on his team, old ass Kyle Korver, J.R. Smith, and these guys. But then making it to the finals, and that first game, Game 1 of that NBA Finals, absolutely insane. A 50-point triple-double. Unfortunately, J.R. Smith did a J.R. Smith thing, but I think if they won that game, that series may have turned out a bit different. Because
Warriors in 5. Stop.
Because 2018,
that's all it would have been, if anything.
Because
it would have been a repeat of the 2001 finals. It would have been just a repeat when Allen Iverson won Game 1 for the Sixers, and then they got mopped the next 4 games.
LeBron James is not Allen Iverson. But with that being said, I've never seen another player come up big in the clutch than LeBron James. I'm not gonna lie. You could go to 2016, that big block on Iguodala. I mean, making play after play to solidify the 3-1 comeback. I don't know how anyone else could choose someone that's not LeBron James. Shout out to Bron, man.
Man,
Kyrie made the clutch play in that game. Let's be real. Like,
oh
wow.
As much as people,
no,
here's the reality of it though. Here's the reality of it.
In action.
Everyone says that LeBron got that block and it changed the momentum. It did not change the momentum because right after that play, LeBron came back, took a horrible shot. Then a timeout was called. All the momentum was killed. But then the game resumed and Kyrie Irving hit the clutch shot that essentially won them the championship. So
Okay,
you can say whatever you want about that block.
LeBron doesn't block the shot. Now what are we saying? Okay, because
well,
it doesn't. The three still needs to go in, but like Garrett, in the last 4 minutes, the Warriors didn't score. It was a combination of bad shots and the LeBron block, which saved 2 points, which I believe would have put them up because I think they were tied at that point. And
there's also no guarantee that it even would have went in because he was running fast. You saw he turned on the Jets.
That layup was going in.
Really? I don't know. It had potential to miss because he turned up the Jets and like he was scared that LeBron was coming.
Dude, LeBron,
but he could have missed even if he didn't block it. I'm saying.
What I'm saying, the fear of God in that man for a reason.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. Without J.R. Smith in that play, it's not a block because J.R. Smith is what caused Andre Iguodala to come back down and go back up.
And LeBron also ran 94 feet.
Oh no, for sure.
To his ass.
No, for sure. But
I just don't agree with the people that say that changed the momentum in the sense where it's like, okay, that gave the Cavs momentum because it did not. There's people out there that say that gave them momentum. Maybe you can make an argument that
definitely gave him momentum.
But it couldn't have because then after that, LeBron took a horrible shot. Then the Warriors came down. I think they missed. And then it was a timeout with less than a minute left in the game or like just over a minute left in the game. It's still tied at 89-89. Kyrie hits that shot. That gave them momentum.
Let me tell you this.
More than that.
What I would tell you is the block happens. Boom. Automatically, there's momentum going Cleveland. LeBron takes a bad shot. Warriors come down, take a bad shot, miss that shot.
You don't think momentum shifted right then?
No,
LeBron
I don't.
Takes a horrible shot. Warriors win the ball, man.
I don't think so.
It's
because
still in the Cavs' favor.
Because
they
both. In my opinion, then there's no momentum. There's no momentum.
No, because LeBron got that block.
So let me get this straight. LeBron gets that block, and they're still at 89-89 until like the last 5 seconds. The Warriors had the ball, chance to win the championship. The Cavs still had momentum before that point.
The Warriors did nothing to kill the momentum after the block.
Yeah,
but they didn't. The Cavs couldn't establish it. Getting the block doesn't mean anything because you have to put up points to win.
All right, bro.
No,
you do.
That's
hating. He could have. Here's the thing. He could have got the block. Nobody could have scored the rest of regulation. They still have momentum going into overtime.
I mean, you can't really
technically. I mean,
in my opinion, there's either no momentum or the momentum shifts after the Cavs take a horrible shot on the next play,
and
it goes back to the Warriors because they have the ball.
Momentum doesn't.
Shout out my boy John. Real hoopers.
So then there's no momentum. So then there's no momentum at that point. There just isn't.
I don't know, yo, Garrett. I feel like you forget about all the fans in the crowd, bro. They're there too. That layup goes in. Everybody's cheering. His energy. It's electric in there.
But they were still loud though after that point. They were equally as loud after LeBron missed. You need to hear the roars of the crowd after LeBron missed that shot right after the block. You need to. It was equally the same.
Before we turn this into
but after that it changed again.
Before we turn this into 2018 finals debate, which is a crazy finals 2 debate. When you get swept, that's an insane. Anyway, I like that Jay said one of the most clutch players ever. And I might sound crazy with my take because this guy's never won a ring, but he is a playoff riser. And I always enjoyed Reggie Miller, one of the most clutch players of all time. Like he didn't win a ring. I get it. And I know that is kind of crazy to say when a player doesn't win a ring. But when you look at his body of work, it kind of shocks you that he never won a ring. Besides the fact of his play, but he also played guys like Kobe, D. Wade, Ray Allen, Vince Carter, and Clyde Drexler in his career in the playoffs, it's a crazy list of shooting guards. And that's not even naming the small forwards that he played against. But Reggie Miller's ability to create offense for himself without the ball, he was essentially Steph before we got to see Steph, but Steph kind of brought the range back further, whereas Reggie Miller, he did not stop moving without the ball. That's just something he wasn't going to do. But even past that, one thing that I loved about Reggie Miller the most, and again, you mentioned clutch. In elimination games, he averaged 25 points per game on 62% true shooting with only a little under 2 turnovers per game from 1990 to 2002. That's insane. And I'm going to be honest, I think Garrett can even attest to this. Reggie Miller was a guy that Bulls fans were pretty scared of for a little bit, and then obviously Michael Jordan is Michael Jordan, so that kind of was short lived. But Reggie Miller is still one of those dudes when the playoff comes. It's unfortunate the teams he's had by his side. I think his best season to where he could have won was the Malice in the Palace year, and of course we know what happened with his team there. But he's one of those dudes that when the playoffs comes, you know what to expect from Reggie Miller. So I had him on there, and I think that was the biggest curveball. I'm not gonna lie.
Steph, I'm glad you mentioned Reggie Miller because he has one of the most, I say underappreciated now, but it's basically one of the a forgotten gem of like all-time clutch moments. When he stepped back and hit that three, literally catches the ball, steps back because he knows he needs the 3 points and just laces it. That's one of the most underappreciated moments to me, and it's unfortunate that it's basically forgotten the time now. You know, when I was watching ESPN and they would have the I forget exactly what they were, but it was like not old documentaries, but like documentaries that delved into some of the older playoff series.
30 for 30.
Not it was. I don't think it was 30 for 30, but it was something. It might have been 30 for 30, but yeah, that was one of the moments that stuck out in my head. Like, damn, he was really this clutch. He was really that cold, and it just sucks because one of the reasons that I hate just looking strictly at accolades whenever we evaluate players is because it never takes into context. It never takes into situations that actually happened. I could have a game winner in game 5 and we lost the series, and now the game winner is forgotten because we didn't make it past the series, or ultimately we didn't get the ring. That's why the
Derek White's this
Warriors
year.
don't get they burn that they should.
100%. And with the growth of ring culture, it just becomes even more and more, I would say, we start to see more and more players' moments and some things that we remembered in that time specifically start to get forgotten, because a lot of the times conversations are coming down to, well, they didn't win, so who cares, unfortunately.
Like imagine if that Kawhi shot is now just, we don't talk about it because they lost in the finals. That's a insane moment in history, something that quite literally has never happened before, and we might not even see it happen again until a few years down the line. Shit, it might be Kawhi that does it again because of how clutch he is in the playoffs. But I would have hated to see that moment just be lost and forgotten the time in 10 years because, the Raptors didn't even win that ring, so who cares? And it was just a second round series, so who cares? So
yeah, and to add to kind of like what both you guys are saying, not only just like the moment against the Knicks, you know what I mean? But like the 8 points in 9 seconds, but also like, bro, he even had, and like you were saying, Steph, like there was a moment in time where it's like, maybe we like feared Reggie Miller. Part of that too is also like, so we only played him in the playoffs once in 98, but that was also like probably of our championship teams, like our worst team, you know, like, and that Pacers team, Reggie Miller even said, I believe he said in the Last Dance, or he said in something else, he said, it was either the 95 team or the 98 team was their best team, even though they made the finals in 2000. And I'm sure you even remember that as a Laker fan. Like he said, like that wasn't like their best team. He thought it was either 95 or 98. And at that point, like he even felt like we had more talent, and you could probably argue they had a more talented team. And then he hit that 1 game winner in the series as well. And that kind of gave them a little bit of life. You know what I mean? So there was definitely moments where Reggie Miller came up big. And yeah, like I was definitely thinking about him too, for like when I came in, like I guess with like 5 of them, but also like we got to give credit to some guys like Bill Russell. First of all, I mean, winning 11 championships, and this guy elevated as a scorer, as a rebounder, basically on all levels in the playoffs. And every time, or I wouldn't say every time, but a majority of the time, he always outplayed the competition in the playoffs, especially. You definitely can't forget about that. I think also like 2 other guys I just kind of want to give some recognition to is another Celtic in John Havlicek. I mean, this guy, arguably, if there was a finals MVP in 1968, because the first one was 69 with Jerry West when they lost, this guy would have been the finals MVP in my opinion. And he eventually won one in like 1974. So, and I just think personally, like he's a guy that never got too much love in the regular season, but come playoff time, he was consistently one of the best players, maybe throughout like the 1970s. You could argue that he was like a top 5 player in the league for most of that decade, at least for that time. And another guy I just want to mention, if we're talking about like rising in the playoffs, I know he had teammates that were probably better than him come playoff time, but I think big game James Worthy as well. Like, definitely. I mean, still a game 7, like 30-point triple double to win the championship.
Crazy.
That's freaking insane. And a lot of times too, he would hit clutch shots as well. He upped his efficiency. He upped his scoring in the playoffs. So I got to give a couple of those guys the nod as well. Like, just when we're talking about who elevates their game the most in the playoffs, because regular season, especially those last two between Havlicek and Worthy, like they never got like too much love in the regular season that you would think. Like neither of them were ever like a regular season MVP or anything like that. Not like really first team All NBA nods, many there is. But come playoff time, like you could argue that they were probably top 5 players in the league at some point in time, even for James Worthy, especially in like 1988. So I just wanted to give them some appreciation as well.
Man, stop all that pandering. Because we got a Lakers fan that's key holder. Man.
I said 2 Celtics before that though.
I'm just bullshitting. I'm just bullshitting. But
this is the most Laker positivity I've heard in so long. Yeah, I love it.
Hey, if I'm here for next stream, none of that shit, buddy. But just real quick,
I won't be here, so you don't have to worry about that.
He doesn't have the career like games played playoff yet, and he's still very young in his career. But I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Luka. Second all time in playoff points per game behind only Michael Jordan, and he's the only other person that is scored 30 points per game. Michael Jordan 33, Luka 32. I'm not gonna call him one of the all-time playoff risers yet, but I think we're starting to see the seeds of like a player that can be one of the all-time playoff risers. You look at what he's done. He's faced 2 very, very good Clippers teams already. And both of them were hard outs, right? I know they lost the one series. They lost both of them, I think. Don't quote me on that because I might be wrong.
They did.
But, yeah, they did. So both hard outs. And then made it to the Western Conference Finals, dispatched to the Suns. And, again, it sounds crazy now, but in 5 years, because I think that Luka is that type of talent to where you put a consistent a competent roster around him, and he can make a finals run. 5-10 years, I think we're going to be talking about Luka as one of the top playoff risers in the league. And shit, after his career's over, we might be talking about as one of the best playoff performers, playoff risers of all time. But that's all I had on that.
And one last thing to add into, I'm sorry, I forgot about this, but we just didn't really talk too much. I know Mo kind of mentioned it a little bit, but we didn't talk too much about Jamal Murray, who does have the ultimate scoring jump from the regular season to the playoffs. And especially if I'm putting like in my group of players that don't have too much regular season recognition come playoff time. I mean, you even like, I think we even talked about it, Steph, a while ago, like that you said, like, I think Jamal Murray, or you've been saying for a while, he's like a top 25 player in the league. And especially come playoff time, you could even argue he's like better than that just because he always rises to the occasion. I didn't give him maybe the same recognition just because I think everyone like on my list I had, they won multiple titles and they played at least like 10 or so playoff series. So he'll be there in short time, but like with my qualifications, I guess. But either way, like we still got to give him recognition as well because, hey, they don't win the championship without Jokic, but they also don't win it without Jamal Murray.
100%. We all know I'm a Jamal Murray endurer over here, Mo for sure. Because I'm not gonna lie, I did rank him. I want to say it was top 15 before the season last year. I wasn't wilding. I was early.
All right, buddy.
But with that being said, we are gonna move on to the next topic, which is a guy who has had some injury history, but we have seen some of his play to where a lot of us are sold and convinced, and we aren't sure what direction the Pelicans are looking to go with him, and that is Zion Williamson. Now, as of lately, we've seen some trade rumors, trade discussions, and things like that. I got a notification on my phone not too long ago that him and the GM are on the best of terms that they've ever been. I'm gonna say this now. I've heard that before and seen a player traded, so I'm not buying any stock into that. But some trades that I have seen for him have been Zion for Cat, Zion to the Hornets for Gordon Hayward, Zion to the Knicks. As we all know, he wanted to be there since day one. And I don't know if I've heard this too much on the airways, Twitter, whatever, but I know we've talked within here. Zion to OKC if OKC decides to leverage their picks. So I'm going to start with Garrett one more time on this one again. Where do you see Zion going for one? And two, what kind of package would he command?
So I will start off by saying I don't know if I actually expect him to get traded, but if he were to get traded, I think it's going to command, at least like one or two quality vets that get solid minutes, one young guy that you can definitely depend on, and I would say at least 2 picks. That might be selling it a little low just because like we've seen the packages now, but at the same time, you got to consider Zion's injury history and, especially like near the end of last season, if there's ever like a stunt pulled again where it's like, we got to wait till Zion feels like Zion, which that is fair. Like and players will even tell you themselves, like, sometimes like the injury recovery thing, like mentally is a little bit harder than physically, but like also that's just something that can't be ignored when we're talking about building a foundation with younger players. So I think they're definitely going to consider all that, but I would say maybe like 2 higher-ish contract or like mid-level-ish contracts of quality players that are getting minutes, 1 young player you can depend on, and at least 2 first-round picks. Or maybe that's probably roughly the package. Now maybe you could throw in like 2 first-round or 2 young players, couple picks, and you know what I mean? But and you can even throw in seconds. I think of the teams you mentioned, I think probably Charlotte would be the most interesting just because pairing him with LaMelo Ball would be nice. However, I mean, they did just bring back Miles Bridges too. So, I mean, it's going to be an exciting team to watch, I suppose. But, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I've stayed on top of things as much as I can, but they haven't officially brought back PJ Washington yet, right?
Not that I think I haven't seen anything regarding it.
Yeah. So, I mean, he could fill in like that spot. There's going to be a little bit of an opening there. So that wouldn't be bad. I think OKC definitely has a lot of assets too. Those would probably be the 2 I would bet on the most that could maybe get him if he is to be traded. And then maybe a third team that could be interesting. I don't think they would actually go through with it, but I think like they probably have like the pieces of like an ideal package, I would say. I don't know how much it would fit their team, but it would be interesting to see if they could figure out like a big 3, but I wonder how he would do in Dallas. You know what I mean? Like, especially if they like now they got Derek Lively that they can make like the main center, put him at power forward. They got Grant Williams, to back him up. It would be an interesting fit. I think it wouldn't be bad. If I had to bet where he get traded though first, I think it'd probably be between Charlotte and OKC first. But again, I don't think he's going to get traded. At least not right now. Maybe a year from now, if we see Zion miss like 30 plus games once again, and it's hurting the foundation of the Pelicans, they missed the playoffs per se, then I could definitely see that happening. But yeah, I'm a roll with I guess like those 3 would be the interesting choices: the Hornets, Thunder, and Mavericks. I think the Mavericks might be the most interesting, maybe the least likely though.
I wanted to just mention real quick, Garrett. I think PJ Washington is signing a qualifying offer with the Hornets.
He is.
As far as I've seen, it shows that he's thinking about it. I haven't seen that he's actually done it quite yet.
As of 11 hours ago, it says he still remains in free agency. So, and it says 11 hours ago that they could sign him in qualifying offer with a question mark. So maybe they're thinking about it, but at least right now, I don't think I've seen anything that he's signed. But
yeah, I mean, that qualifying offer has been extended, which is why he's a restricted free agent. But I don't think anything from PJ's camp has actually agreed to anything at this point.
Yeah, there was a report that PJ Washington is prepared to sign the qualifying offer with the Hornets.
Okay.
Well, even then,
well
like
happen,
they could still find a way to maybe make a trade. But even if that's the case, they could still find a way to maybe make a trade with Charlotte. But again, my point still stands. I think the likeliest scenario right now is he will stay with the Pelicans until at least most of the way through this year or next offseason or something. And then they have to probably make a decision by then.
I also think that he's going to stay. I think that New Orleans Pelicans organization knows what they have in Zion, and they're going to, ride it out for the time being. It's unfortunate that he hasn't gotten to play so much during the regular season, especially seeing like when he's on the court, he's super healthy, and when he is on the court and he is healthy, he's super good and like really, really a cornerstone franchise piece of this organization. Uh, I know that we're, still in the Dame sweepstakes and stuff, and Dame doesn't want to go to any team besides the Heat. But I think that the Blazers could trade for Zion. That might be something that could happen. I don't know how realistic it is again because Dame, we know that he wants to go to Miami, and even more so on the Pelican side, I don't think that they'd be willing to give up their cornerstone franchise piece or one of them, along with Brandon Ingram, who's the other, for an aging Damian Lillard. But for the Blazers side, if they, chose to, let's say whatever, Damian Lillard, you have your preference to go to the Heat, but we're not going to honor that because the Blazers have a better, the Pelicans have a better package. I do think that they'd be interested in Zion. You pair Zion with Scoot, you pair Zion with Anthony Simons, and that's a really good young three. Zion would be the best out of them right now, and then you build that connection with Scoot, with Ant, and it could be dangerous in the foreseeable future. But besides that, I'm having a hard time thinking of other teams who would want to trade for Zion because of the injury history and all of that, and then B, again, I have a hard time seeing the Pelicans trading Zion, at least right now. Like y'all said, if it's 40 games into the season and he's only played 20 of them, I definitely think they're going to start looking for avenues to ship him out because at a certain point, it's like, all right, we believe in you. We give you opportunities to, come back to your healthy self. Still not working. All right, we gave it another shot next season. We gave it another shot, and then it's still not working. 3 strikes you're out. I don't think they operate exactly on that, but it's definitely something that I could see them doing just because you don't want to be paying a player that's supposed to be your cornerstone franchise piece, and he's playing 30, 40 games a season, and then you're not even making the playoffs as a result of that. So Zion to the Blazers.
And just to mention before you hop in, I didn't check anything else, but Zion to the Blazers could work if you add Larry Nance in there. You put Larry Nance and Zion, and then you trade him for Dame. The trade works. So,
for me, it's pretty much only one team competition in my mind. If I first of all, I don't think he gets traded. I don't think that happens. At least this year, I don't see how that happens. But if he does get traded, I think he goes to OKC. I feel like it makes a lot of sense. I think there's a culture being built there that OKC, years past, they've had a great culture. We think of when Russell Westbrook was there, when KD was there, but it's the Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Josh Giddey type of culture being built now. And you get a guy like Zion Williamson where he may have, I don't know if it's character issues. I don't know if it's just basketball issues. I don't know if it's all health issues. Maybe it's all 3 of those things, but he hasn't, performed to expectations because of the injuries, but because of multiple different reasons, whether he's actually healthy or not. Maybe he's making excuses on why he doesn't want to play. As we talked about earlier, how if Zion doesn't feel like Zion isn't playing for you, which seems extremely Kawhi Leonard-esque when he was on the Spurs. So I think Zion Williamson, if he does get moved, goes to the Thunder. I don't know exactly what the package looks like players-wise because the Thunder are in a situation where all of their players are young. You don't really got these veteran guys on that squad where they're taking up quite a bit of money or whatever the case may be, where maybe that's what the Pelicans are looking for in a trade, right? Where they're like, we need a veteran guy that will step in. And the only guy I can think of that could really help them is like Isaiah Joe. And I don't think the Thunder trade him because he's so young and is such a good shooter and is their best shooter, one of the best 3-point shooters in the league. But when it comes to picks, there is no better team than the Thunder because they have like 35 picks over the next, X amount of years. I could see them going all in. You're not going to sign 35 guys. There's not enough roster spots for that. So I think they could leverage 4 first-round picks and say, let's throw in 4 second-round picks and maybe one of these younger guys. And I think that gets the deal done. And I don't know what the money looks like exactly, but I think if we're talking about value to packages, I think the Thunder have the best to offer when it comes to value. And I also think that Zion on the Thunder, if Zion is healthy, which is a big question, could be an extremely fun team to watch and a team that, in my opinion, could be a top 4 seed in the West and a very competitive West at that.
Yeah, so I like all you guys' trades, but me personally, I also do think that Zion is probably going to end up staying. I mean, you don't trade a number 1 pick with the type of upside that Zion Williamson has, but if he does end up getting traded, I think I could see him being in Houston. I'm not gonna lie, I could see him being in Houston, and that trade package could look something like I don't know how committed the Houston Rockets are to Jalen Green, or perhaps to Kevin Porter Jr. as well. I could see them both getting shipped out for Zion Williamson. You bring in Ime Udoka. Bringing in Zion Williamson really helps Ime Udoka solidify and help build a winning team for the future. A young, hungry, winning team with a whole lot of talent on it as well. And I'm not gonna lie, somebody on this Houston Rockets team needs to go. Jalen Green and Kevin Porter Jr. are staggering the growth for a lot of these young players. And when it comes to the regular season, I think we're going to see some of this young talent be moved because not everybody can get touches. And I'm not going to lie, I saw what a point center Jabari Smith looks like in Summer League, and I kind of like it. I would like to see more of that in the regular season. But if Zion Williamson does end up getting traded, I definitely can see Houston in his future.
Jay with a good take.
Oh, my takes are good, bro. Don't do that.
Yeah, all right.
Bro. Nah, bro. This might be opposite day. What the heck?
Hey, we did have the majority disagree with the Sabonis take earlier, so we shouldn't give him too much credit. But I'm with the majority here. I don't think Zion is going to get moved. But that being said, the rumors are out there evidently, and there is a few packages that could exist. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Back over. Yeah. So this is what financially, at least, what a package could look like for the Hornets. The picks, of course, you can mess around with, but that's PJ at 17.4 mil, which is his default cap hold right now. But JV probably goes back the other way, but Nick Smith can't be involved, but maybe like James Bouknight is a young guy that the Pelicans try to take in if they want to flyer on someone, or a Kai Jones, someone who's in on some low money. But
my only thing with that is that if I don't know what the Hornets would do with Valanciunas, because you already got Nick Richards, you already got Mark Williams, you already got James Najee. So like, I don't know where he fits in with that team, especially with LaMelo as a point. That's my only thing. And like, they'd have to like spin him in like another deal. It'd probably have to be like a 3-team trade if I had to guess.
Well, if Valanciunas only has the 1 year on the contract, I mean, could they just eat the contract and say whatever, we'll figure it out next year?
Buy him out.
I think they want to, though. They could do that, but I think they also want to compete right now, because we got to remember, like, this past season sucked for the Hornets, but before that, like, they were a 43-win team.
I'm not gonna lie.
People forget
that.
If
they get Zion, they're competing right now.
Yeah, so like, I don't know if you'd want Valanciunas as the big in that scenario. I think I feel like Mark Williams is probably the guy of those 3 I listed, like, of the centers they should invest the most in, but I don't know where Valanciunas would fit in. Like, I feel like it'd have to either be a 3-team trade, or like you guys said, like they just buy him out right away, which would kind of suck because you can't use that money for like anything like near the buyout market time if they are good or something.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. But yeah, this is financially how Zion to OKC works, because Rudy Gay can't be moved, Oladipo can't be moved, Davis Bertans can't be moved, at least not yet. So financially, this is how the pieces would fit together.
What's crazy looking at that, the only person that might like make you cringe a little bit, in my opinion, is Trey Mann. Now, Kenrich Williams, he played very well. Lou Dort, we know what he's brought this team, but the rest of them, other than Trey Mann, is kind of like,
If I'm the Thunder, I would.
Pokusevski enjoyer?
I am, but I'm just saying, like, you're getting Zion. That's
I
what
would
I'm
do
saying,
this. If I'm the Thunder,
And
I
for
would
the
probably
record,
do this.
I would do
I
this
mean, if
in
you're
a
the
heartbeat
Pelicans,
if
would
I
you
was
do
the
it?
Thunder.
If I'm the Pelicans,
Hell no, I'm not doing this
no,
shit.
No, I
probably
wouldn't do
If I'm the
not. I
Pelicans, I'm
wouldn't
not
do it.
taking this. If I'm the Thunder,
You'd have to
shit,
give me a
hey,
lot of picks, like
Yeah, I
too.
mean, picks are
For sure.
subjective. I'm not.
Yeah, I
put
mean,
that
I
in
don't.
too.
I don't think you can't add picks on the thing here, can
You
you?
can,
If there's
yeah,
any
you
team,
can.
Oh,
if
yeah.
there's any team that can afford to splurge on the picks for a superstar, and again, that's what we building up to with this Thunder team. I don't know what Sam Presti doing, but he cooking something. Somebody's going to get overpaid with picks, and they're going to trade for a star level player. If there's anybody that they would do it for that I think fits their roster, Zion would fit their roster for sure.
Bulls legend David Nwaba.
And I
Decided
think
to-
he's
never thought I'd see
Sam
him onto this stream.
I think Sam Presti is sitting on these picks for the perfect opportunity too, because every offseason we hear about the Dames of the world, the guys that are where they're at and they're not happy where they're at, or teams are exploring shopping a certain guy that's a star on their team. Like, so really and truly, it's a waiting game for Presti and his guys over there in the Thunder front office.
Karl-Anthony Towns is going to be a Thunder very soon. People don't see the vision. I see the vision, bro. I see it.
JELSON's heated.
No. I'm not heated. I just don't know what they'd give up for him. Like that,
And
we
he
would
gonna
be
play-
interested.
and he
Here's
gonna play
the
center for them?
thing. You don't have to be interested in it because you won't be able to pay Cat in the next few years anyway.
No, I agree.
So
I agree with that.
if he rates for the right moment, the right time, it don't even matter.
The moment
You're right. I guess
Karl-Anthony Towns becomes available, the Thunder should be number one on everybody's list because they got the capital and they got the pieces that they can make a trade work. They can outbid anybody.
I guess if I'm a Timberwolves fan, I am a Timberwolves fan.
Exposed.
Give me all your picks, OKC. Like,
Oh, you gonna get all the picks.
You gonna get them.
Towns.
Yeah, we
give
just
me that
let
Rudy
Cat-
Gobert picks back, bro.
So, all right. So before we move on, right? I got a question for you guys. How do y'all feel about the player empowerment movement? How do you feel about? Do you think it's selfish for a guy like? So I don't know if we discussed it. Do you think it's selfish for a guy like Dame to be like, "Hey, I want to go to Miami, but you guys are not going to get what you want"? Like, not just Dame specifically, but do you think it's selfish that players are taking more control of their future?
Nope.
I do.
If I can just add, like, I think it's definitely like in the respect of the way they're putting like the Dame situation where they're saying like, oh, he's only going to show up for training camp if he goes to Miami. I think that is selfish. But at the same time, I don't agree with even that report because I think Dame is like, that's an instance where I think he's the ultimate professional that no matter where he goes, he could get traded to the freaking Pistons, even though he won't. But like, bro, he could get traded there. He's going to show up. Like, he's going to play. Why would he sit out like all this time, like for 3 years or whatever it may be? In his prime, arguably, yeah.
Don't
So like,
don't that extension kick in soon? He gonna miss out on all that money just
kicking in.
It's just kicking in. Yeah, this year.
I think there's limitations to what should be like thought of as okay.
Hey brother, Pete private chat.
Hey, that's the second.
And the only reason I say that is because I didn't want to forget my thought real quick.
No, you get go ahead.
But only thing I want to the reason why I say no, look at the NFL, bro. Look how selfish these owners are. And I understand the NBA is a much more progressive league with much more progressive owners. But even still, one thing about rich men that I know, they don't want to get less rich. And how do you do that? Go look at those NFL owners who are lining their pockets. Meanwhile, they're juicing everything out they can out of their talent just to drop them on the side of the road like there's some roadkill. We've seen it. That's the reason why I've always loved the player empowerment era, because we see the direct opposite of that in the NFL. And the NFL is disgusting. Now, of course, there are some players that have leverage over teams, but it's very, 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 very hard to get to that level in any sport for that matter. So with that being said, I think the player empowerment era is a great thing for the league, because at the end of the day, it's these owners' jobs to not only think about the current, but also think about your future. These owners and GMs, like you should, and I never understood this about GMs it always seems like most of them are thinking in the present and not realizing, well, maybe if I think towards the future, I could save my job. I kind of thought that's what Bob Myers was doing with Golden State when he drafted Wiseman and those other guys. Like, it started to be like, okay, you could tell he's trying to bridge the gap between the dynasty and what's to come. And you don't see that too often. So with that being said, if a player does force his way out, especially in the case of a guy like Dame, who they've essentially failed him, I'm not mad at it. And then to go further, when people, because there are people talking about how Dame is handicapping the team and that's selfish, and it kind of it's what's the word for it? You did it earlier, Joseph. What's the word for it? Contradicts. My bad. It contradicts. My bad. It contradicts what he said up until this point. And though I get that, if we really, really genuinely look at what the Blazers have done for the past 4 years, almost every move they made up until this point has been a rebuild move. You trade Josh Hart last year, who he's not the best player ever, but he is a guy that I think would be on a pretty good playoff team. You hold on to your number 3 overall pick immediately. There was reports that they weren't sure what to do, but we kind of knew what they were going to do. And then when you draft Scoot, it's like, okay, let's look further back. And when you just keep looking at the moves they made up until this point in these past couple of years or so, they've been quietly rebuilding. The same way I feel like they've been telling Dame some things and they kind of go against that, but quietly. But we all know Dame isn't going to come out and say that because, to Garrett's point, he's a pro's pro. I think Dame is justified in what he's requested and the fact that he's said where he prefers to go. Now, obviously, they don't have to listen to that, but this is where that GM comes into play. Do what's best for you and your job and for this team. And honestly, like, bump if we're forced to trade him to Miami or not. Free agents ain't trying to come to Portland, no way. So we might as well figure out how we rebuild this through the draft. But that's my take on that.
So when it comes to the whole player empowerment movement, I'm all in favor because, again, we talking about GMs and we talking about when we get their owners. These owners is billionaires. These GMs, not billionaires. They making serious money anyway. And when it comes to them, they're making these roster decisions at the ultimate goal of, winning a championship. When you talk about a player like LeBron, who started the player empowerment movement by leaving the Cleveland Cavaliers because they failed to build a roster around him, I understand why he got the hate that he did because he went to the Miami Heat. But at the same time, him leaving was absolutely justified. And I'll never knock him for that. The only reason we was pissed off is because we knew that the Miami Heat was going to run the league for a few years. And to a certain extent, they did. They won 2 finals and 4 straight trips, might I say.
I think also the way he handled it, though, is kind of a little bit different.
It was kind of weird. Like, why are you announcing your free agency decision on ESPN? Never seen anything like that, by the way. And
that's LeBron for you. Always making it about him more than it even
it was about
him. I mean, it was about him. It was,
but like, my God, like, bro, it felt like we were watching like
the number 1 free agent.
But at the same time, you gotta think about it though. Whatever team got LeBron, you knew you were in the finals for the next 4 years or so.
Literally.
So, I don't know if you knew at that point just because he had missed the last 3 years, but like you had a good feeling,
brother.
Well, here's another thing to that.
What? He only made 1 final in the first 7 years at that point.
But here's another thing to that point as well, though. With LeBron, that was like the first like uber mega star that we've seen hit the free agency like that. We didn't see it with Jordan.
In a minute.
Kobe, he definitely threatened a trade request,
Shaq
but they got right
too. But
yeah, but even with Shaq, like after he left LA, it was still a process of like.
Well, I meant going to LA, like Orlando to LA,
well,
because he would have been with the Magic, but they didn't want to pay him, and so he went to LA.
But that's my point though. That was over a decade. Yeah, that too. That was a
Well, I
salary
was just saying
thing.
that's like probably the first. Like there are ones before that at least. Like I'm just saying.
For sure. No, for sure, for sure.
Regardless of how we all feel about the player empowerment movement, I think that more players moving to different teams and not just sticking with one, maybe two teams throughout their career in general is a good thing for the league. Now, when you get the team hopping and shit like that, I don't like that. And I think that that's not something that stemmed off of the player empowerment movement. More so, ring culture kind of seeping its way into the NBA. And that's a different topic for a different day. But as far as player empowerment, bro, they putting their bodies on the line. And granted, they get paid rightfully so because they're putting their bodies on the line. But when you consider like all of the things that go into making these decisions, these roster decisions, and the organization, no matter who you are, they're going to think about the organization before they think about you. So it's only fair that you in turn take that, recognize that the NBA is a business and it's not personal, and you attempt to maximize the situations for yourself. Damian Lillard, to his credit, he's tried to make it work with the Portland Trail Blazers, and as we saw, it got them to a Western Conference Finals, and that's it. They have failed him, and because they failed him, I think that he is justified in his trade request. Number one, because we've all wanted him to get to request a trade. Number two, he's valid in wanting to go to the Miami Heat. I know they were just in the finals, so again, sorry if you can hear that. They were just in the finals, so it kind of seems like bro, what the fuck? It kind of seems a little weak.
Just go ahead, bro, because we don't really hear it like that. You good?
Yeah, it kind of seems a little weak, but hey, that's how the game goes. So he's gonna do what's best for him. These organizations are gonna do what's best for them. So I think that all the players should follow suit and do what's best for them. And of course, we're not gonna see no holdouts like we do in the NFL, because that's where you get when there's absolutely no player empowerment and the GMs and the owners have basically all of the leverage in most of these situations. So hey, I'm all for it, bro. All for it.
I'm definitely pro player empowerment for the majority of things. The only thing that leaves a bit of a sour taste in my mouth with the Damian Lillard trade request is this guy just extended 12 months ago, and now 12 months later he says I want out. That timing is the only thing that's a little bit odd to me. I got no problem with guys wanting to go get their bag, go where they want to go in free agency, even requesting a trade depending on the timing. But to say 12 months ago, yeah, I'm going to lock up another 2 years with you guys, and then 12 months later say, yeah, hold up, never mind, I'm going to want out. Like, I get why, given where Portland have been over the last decade with him and the lack of success they've had, but to give that commitment last summer and now this summer say, yeah, never mind, I want out. Like, I get it, but it's a little bit frustrating.
For me, the big thing with player empowerment is when it comes to the NBA as a whole, I think it's a 3-level system. You get the players' money, the owners' money, and then the basketball, right? You get 3 different levels of things that are very important. And really what completes the NBA at a complete level. And it's great for me personally to see that players are having more of a say in where they're going and that they're not allowed to just stick in terrible situations. But I think there are examples, and like as Devin brought up, we should not be saying like, yo, you just signed this extension and then now you're like, I'm out and I won't play for anybody else except for this team. And if I get traded to X team instead of this team, I'm not playing and I'm sitting out, and it shouldn't work like that. And there should be repercussions to those situations. But when it comes to specifics, right, I think of some players that should be moved. And as long as you're reasonable with your requests, and as long as you're like really just like, there's always a human element to it, right? And at a certain point, it's, as a player, you're like, I'm going to step up and stick up for myself and say, okay, I'm done being here because you guys haven't been treating me like the person or the player that I should be treated as. But there's also situations where it's like, dude, you just signed an extension. Like, why are you saying, I don't know if this is actually him. It's probably more so his man or his agent that's saying this stuff about he won't play anywhere else except for Miami. But like, you just signed an extension. And this is the most recent example we have of this, where it's like, now what are we supposed to do? This ruins like the product of basketball now. This ruins basketball because we have to have an even amount of, whether we like it or not, the owner's power, the player's power, and then on top of that, the basketball. Because I'm just thinking of it as a team. Like, let's say you're a team that could be major players in the Damian Lillard, him being available. But then the reports are that he won't even attend practice if you trade for him. Now what? There's no more. Maybe he'll go here because of a trade. There's like, it's almost a mystery as an NBA fan, right? It's like a mystery box. You open it up and boom, somebody got traded to a random place. But now we're getting in a situation where it's like, we don't even, like, we know exactly where he's going to go. We know that he's going to go there just because if he goes anywhere else, he's going to say, I'm not playing. And that ruins the basketball point of view for me personally.
I mean, I get what you're saying, but like for me, it's like, to him, it's like with that third pick, y'all were gonna use that to bring a veteran in, but now that you draft somebody, it's almost like, well, damn, what did I sign this extension for? Because he's assuming that they're gonna keep trying to get a veteran around them, and from the outside looking in, it doesn't look like they've done that up until this point, or it doesn't look like they've done their due diligence to try to do that. But I mean, I do understand where you're going with that, but in terms of player empowerment, I feel like it's only going to continue to grow. This is where we're at with the NBA. But we're going to move on to the next topic, and that is Victor Wembanyama. His first summer league game absolutely stunk it up. I was one of the people trying to defend him. It wasn't that easy doing it. I could only say this is a projection of what's to come. I saw some good things here and there. But then after game 2, a lot of us saw what we expected to see in game 1. And that led to a lot of people being secure with the fact that Wemby is going to be who we think he is going forward. And with him being shut down for the rest of the summer league, I ask you guys, and I'm going to switch it up this time. We're going to get Devin first. We're going to get Jay second. And then we'll put JELSON, and we'll do it like that. I'm going to ask you guys.
I just got jobbed, bro.
I'm going to ask you guys. What do you think is Wemby's projection for the year? You can predict the stats. You can predict where you think he'll rank. And where do you think he's going to have, I guess you would say, that rookie wall, so to speak, where he's going to struggle in terms of finding his footing into the league?
First things first, he's my pick for rookie of the year. And the biggest reason I have that being is all rookies struggle on the offensive end at times. There's always going to be a 10, 15, 20 game spurt where you're just going to hit a wall there, especially with guards, but even still for bigs, you're going to hit that wall, especially for a guy like Victor, who's going to be out on the perimeter a lot, is more of a jump shooter as far as a big goes. So there's going to be some time there where he's going to have to adjust to the physicality. He's going to have to adjust to NBA defenses, even though a lot of European guys, coaches, and players alike, with Luka being the most prominent one, have said that they come over and NBA defenses are easier. But it's still an adjustment. It's still different. It's still something new. And so that's going to have to be adjusted to. But I expect him day one, maybe not so much on the perimeter. I think that'll come more with time, but especially on the interior and as a rim protector, I expect him to be really good on that end, pretty much off the jump, and only to get better throughout the course of the season. And that's something that can consistently be brought night in and night out. And I expect to be brought night in and night out from him. And it's probably the biggest reason why I think he'll be the rookie of the year in this class. Because if you look at a guy like Scoot, great offensive player, but again, rookies, especially rookie guards, they're going to have some more adjustment time. They're going to hit a wall. Same thing for Brandon Miller. The other guy who I'd probably argue more so than anyone else is Chet, because I think Chet will have the same type of story where he's going to be so good on the defensive end for a majority of the season that even when the offense does lag, he's still going to be so effective. But I do still value Victor a little bit more on that end, and I think he's going to have a little bit more responsibility defensively on that Spurs team as well, which might inflate his stats, which, given the nature of how award voting goes, will certainly help his case as well. That being said, I still think he's going to be really good offensively. I think we're going to see much more of a productive post game from him than we obviously saw in these 2 summer league games, because he's going to have Trey Jones who can actually get him the ball in the post, as opposed to the summer league team where Blake Wesley and Malachi Branham had the ball in their hands a lot. And they just weren't finding them in the right situations more often than not. And that's no fault of their own. They're still only entering year 2, and neither of them are really truly point guards. So that's no fault of them. But once Victor actually is playing with some true point guards, he's getting the ball in better situations, more advantageous situations, and even just getting it in the post, because he was barely getting it in the post at all on any pass entries from the perimeter. Once he gets into that situation, I wouldn't be surprised at all to see him averaging 17, 18, even upwards of 20 points per game throughout the course of his rookie year. But ultimately, he's going to lie his cap on the defensive end, at least to get started. And I'm sure the offense will pick up as the year goes along. But I'd expect his defense in of itself to be the biggest reason why he has a very good rookie season and why I'd pick him to win Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, I agree with Devin a lot about what he said. I think his biggest adjustment is going to be adjusting to playing at the NBA level. I think the pace is going to be an adjustment for him. The competition for sure, the physicality. But you did say something very good, Devin. I also agree that off the rip, his defense is going to be effective. I mean, he's going to be one of the best defensive players from day one. And although I do have Chet winning Rookie of the Year, I just feel like Chet is more comfortable in his body at this moment. But from what I saw in Summer League from Vic, man, his offense is going to be very, very hit or miss. And I'm specifically talking about his jump shot. And I think the Spurs are going to have a lot of work to do to really figure out where Victor Wembanyama is most impactful. Because let's not forget, the guy is 6'5", 6'6", whatever it is. Most coaches would have him playing close to the paint, but due to Victor Wembanyama's dynamic nature, all the skill sets he possesses, guy can basically bring the ball up the floor. Do you really want him to do that at his size? He may be more prone to getting ripped when penetrating to the rim. I don't know. I think the Spurs are gonna have some work ahead of them, figuring out his offensive game. But with that being said, his defense is definitely going to carry him for the majority of the season. But another good thing I liked about Vic is when he's a very smart basketball player. His passing is underrated, and one thing I like especially about young players, is how they react to getting double teamed. And Vic is very good at noticing when the double is coming and getting the ball out of his hands before it happens. And that's a very good green flag when I'm looking at a very young, promising player. So I do think Victor Wembanyama has a lot of the basketball foundation that you want a young player to have going forward. But I think he's going to be special. The best prospect in the world, like ever in NBA history, I'm not quite there yet.
Interesting points you made. I think that you guys are spot on. His defense is going to translate. Defense isn't really something that you have to adjust to the way that other NBA players are playing offensively. But a lot of his defense is instinctual, and I think that those instincts are going to translate well into even his first NBA game. One thing that he's going to struggle on, and we see it, is basically like a rite of passage for rookies. You can basically count out that 3-ball already. Like I'm not going to say he's going to be terrible, but I expect like 32, 33% if they let him shoot like 3, maybe 4 a game. I don't know if they'll even want him to do that, because they might want him to focus on his interior game as well. He's definitely going to be taking at least 2, 3 threes a game. But don't expect those to be super, super accurate, because there's an adjustment period for damn near every player. When you think they're a good shooter and then they come to the league, they got to adjust. So expect that portion to be added to his game, if not the second or third season. As far as how I project Victor, I do have him as my Rookie of the Year. I think that as long as he plays to like 70% of the level that I think he can in his rookie season, he'll probably have it locked up. I just don't see anybody else competing with him, especially when you look at the Spurs. He's going to be taking a good bulk of the shots more than most rookies are going to be. So I think that's also going to benefit him as well. And one thing I wanted to mention was, I just lost my train of thought. Oh, okay, I got it back again. Victor Wembanyama's defense. It's again, I said it's going to be good to start off. Don't be surprised if Victor Wembanyama might snatch a second team all defensive spot. I know that's a lot projecting for a rookie, but look at that first summer league game. He shot like shit, but he had 5 blocks, and then in the second game he had 3 blocks. He's going to be a very, very good rim protector, I think, starting off immediately. We're going to see him get some real high-profile blocks. Some people going to try to yam on him, and we're going to see Victor Wembanyama's defense really, really shine in his rookie season. Dare I say it's going to be the best portion of his game. As far as where I see him scoring, I say like 16, 17, 18 a game is a nice conservative estimate. If he comes out guns blazing and, he's lighting it up from the mid-range and the inside, again, I don't think that 3 ball is going to translate. He's going to take some time to get that going. But if he fires on all cylinders from the inside, he might even stretch to a 20-point per game scorer. And with the amount of shots he's going to be taking, I don't see that as a stretch. So, yeah, Victor Wembanyama, going to be good. Good basketball player.
Yeah, I mean, I won't add, I guess, too much, but I think the projection for me, I do think he will be the rookie of the year as well. I think the struggles for him will probably be early on. In a way, it's kind of similar, not just because they're both really tall, although that is kind of part of it, but I feel like it'll be a little bit similar to when Yao Ming came in the league, and it was a little bit kind of odd for him to play in the space he was maybe used to, prior to the NBA and now coming over to the NBA. And that's kind of one of the things I've seen in Summer League that I think will be an adjustment for him over the first month. But I think maybe the first month won't be the greatest, but I think eventually he'll step it up. And we've seen players like that did that. I mean, even JELSON to my right, he remembers Ant wasn't great the first month of his rookie year, but then the rest of the year, he was pretty good. And you could argue maybe by the end of it that he maybe was deserving a rookie of the year. And he was at least a top 2 rookie for sure that year. I think stat wise, I think I predict I have him averaging high 22s a game, 22.8 a game, mainly because the team is going to run through him. The Spurs are fully investing in him. He is, we've said, the greatest prospect in forever. There's no other situation where they're gonna let Keldon or Devin Vassell be the first option as long as he is healthy. So I feel for that reason, he'll be the first option. He'll probably average just shy of 23 a game. I'd probably say 8 rebounds. I think the rebounding thing is one thing. I don't know if it'll translate right away. Although I think in the future he should be getting you about 20 and 10 on a regular season when he hits his prime for sure. And then maybe 2 assists, 2 blocks a game, like you said, Mo. The defense should translate pretty well. I don't know how efficient he will be to start. I projected 47% from the field and 34% from 3. I think he shoots free throws pretty well though. So that's my only thing, just playing in space. And it's an adjustment now as opposed to what it was before, coming into the NBA. And it's only going to be a little bit different when he gets that first experience in the NBA. So after a month, I say by the time we get we're approaching that mid-season tournament, I think he'll start to turn up a little bit, especially because you got to remember this guy has a ton of hype on him, but there's also going to be a lot of hype on that mid-season tournament as well. And that might distract people from, if he is struggling, that might distract people from saying hey, Wemby, Brichter or whatever, you see him, people calling him and stuff like that. They're not going to be calling him the same things just because they're going to be paying more attention to that. And especially if, after that, things kind of cool down in the NBA community, that might be the perfect time that he steps it up if he hasn't already. So I'll give him a month, and I wouldn't overreact saying oh, he's a bust or anything like that. Maybe I'll say it on Twitter, if I'm getting a little antsy that day. But realistically, I mean, we still got to give him a little bit of time.
I wanted to bring this up because Mo was talking about how Victor is more than likely not going to be a good 3-point shooter, and I think you said 33-34% on the high end, probably
32-33.
Yeah,
is what I project.
I said 34, but yeah, he said 32-33.
I have personally, I just don't see how he shoots over 30% from three. I think he shoots in more the 28% range.
I'm with Justin.
Because I will tell you
Ain't gonna be
exactly
that
why.
much of an adjustment, bro.
Because no, here's the thing. I mean, he shot 26%, and he shot 27% from three last year. Like, there's the French league is not that great anymore. So the defense over there in France, I think it's different than the NBA is, but I think since the NBA is so 3-point revolving, the defenders know how to guard the 3-point line a lot better in the NBA. And there is a great foundation for Victor to be a great 3-point shooter, because if you look, I think most scouts and most of you probably know this, but when they look at players and their ability to gain or their ability to possibly become a good 3-point shooter one day, a lot of times they look at their free throw percentage, because it shows what foundations they have already set in with shooting. He has the foundation to be a good 3-point shooter at some point in the league, but next year, if he shoots like honestly over 29%, I would consider it a win, because I don't see how, especially with the volume of shots he's more than likely going to take, I don't see how he ends up shooting literally, as I said, 29% or over. But what I will tell you is that his defense will hold up, just because like there's a lot of questions about his size, pause. And if you think about him as just a defender, you think about the length he has. I think he really can like. I think he really can provide on the defensive end. He blocks shots. We saw in the summer league. He's one of those guys that just is naturally gifted at blocking shots and playing in the paint. And I don't think he's a defender that's going to lock you down one-on-one. But what I will tell you is that I think that he will block your shot. I mean, we've seen it already in the summer league. And that's one thing that I don't think really changes all too much from summer league to NBA, because there's 6'5", point guards in the NBA. There's 6'5" point guards in the summer league. Skills different. But what I will tell you is that it's tough to get a shot over somebody that is just quite built like Victor Wembanyama. You just can't do it. 3-point shot probably won't transfer, but his mid-range, his post-game, I think will transfer, because of a lot of his post-game isn't quite bully ball. It's a lot more finesse, like a lot more Jokic than it is Joel Embiid. And I think that all that will translate, and eventually he might become a good 3-point shooter. But Victor Wembanyama, I think, averages 17 points per game, let's say 10 rebounds, and 4 assists, because I think he's a really good playmaker.
I'm not mad at that at all. But the only place I really disagree, I think, would be the 3-point shooting. And that's because, and I'm going to go a different route with it, I think he could average or shoot 30%, but because he's shooting less shots from deep, what I think is going to happen is these first 2 years or so, Pop is really going to emphasize having him in the post, the high post, not so much on the perimeter. And as he progresses in his career, move out to and work in the perimeter a lot more. I think these first couple years are going to be integral to building his inside game. As you said, he's more of a finesse post player. He's not a back you down, pin you under the basket, get a layup kind of. He's not one of those guys. But with that being said, there's still a plethora of moves to add to your arsenal when you are that kind of finesse guy. What better coach than Pop, who had big fundamental, who I might add, the big fundamental is still an assistant coach / mentor for that team. I don't think he's not on their books, but we see him at training camp every single year. We see, even when they were bad, he was still at training camp with them and everything. So to have a guy like Tim Duncan, who I know for certain, I'm willing to bet my last dollar will be in training camp with them to work with Wemby. I think they're going to hone in on his post game and hone in on him on the inside and then work out. He already has the skill to work on the perimeter, so it's not going to be much of an adjustment when it comes to building that perimeter game when it gets to there. Some issues that I saw in the summer league with regard to that, when he would put the ball on the floor, it would easily get ripped because he's 7'4". the ball. That's a long length to travel for the basketball when you dribble the ball, no matter how low you get to the ground when it comes to dribbling the ball. So with that being said, I think Wemby is going to be a 19-10 kind of guy for his rookie year. Average somewhere around 3-4 assists, because he'll still be able to work off of Jeremy Sochan and Keldon Johnson and such. But I genuinely think he would be able to shoot 30% from three. But the reason he's shooting at least that much is because he'll probably only be taking about 3 a game, if that makes sense. So I could see him going 1 for 3 throughout the season very routinely, and that's 33% right there. So that's going forward, Wembanyama has begun. Like, there's no question about it. I think Victor Wembanyama it's gonna be great basketball. The basketball enjoyers, we're in good hands. I'm not gonna lie.
I have one question before we go. We could be quick with this. Who's gonna have the better career, Wemby or Chet?
Bro.
Wemby.
As a biased
Wembanyama.
Chet fan, I'm still saying Wemby.
As much as I love
could not
Chet,
have got
but
drafted to a better situation at all.
Yeah.
Like, there is
Paulo.
no better situation.
Hey, I want to say
Paulo
this.
did get a good situation, but
Even
Wemby's
still.
situation, I think
I was saying Paulo
would,
like over both.
oh,
Okay.
All right, bro.
I just wanted to bring this real fast.
mhm.
Shout out San Antonio fans. Basketball is always better when San Antonio is good.
100%. This is coming from a person that lived there and is moving back there soon. I knew that
And a
fan
Laker
base
fan.
would that too. Well, I mean,
Well,
in the
I'm just saying like why it's like the fact that a Laker fan is saying it too. It's like that.
oh
Even
well,
adds
yeah,
more.
that
That's what I
does
was
add
getting
to it
at.
even more. But
Yeah.
like being there, ever since these people stabbed a 9-year-old for wearing a LeBron jersey, I knew that was the craziest fan base I've ever seen in my
Whoa.
life.
When
Yeah,
did
that
happen?
that happened when I was younger and I lived out there. It was when Bron like one of the years they went to Miami or whatever. Yeah, a kid,
First fans get down like that?
Wait,
bro.
I don't remember that.
Me
Bro.
neither.
No, neither.
They
Bro.
also like psychotic in Texas, so
Yeah, but it is kind of crazy. That is one of those crazy. Yeah, it was insane. And for you guys that don't know, this is just a little Texas geography. I ain't gonna lie to you. AT&T Center is like dead smack in the center of the hood of San Antonio, bro. You drive by all these rundown nasty houses and you're like, oh, AT&T Center. But anyway, we're gonna move on. We are finally at the finale, the conclusion of our stream, which is why I am where I am today in this position that I am. Mop the floor with Jay, Mo. You know how that goes. But today I am bringing you guys a very, very special edition, something that I actually pulled an all-nighter building. Let me see. How do we share our screen? How do we
The present button
We
at
go to
the bottom.
present,
There we go.
and then yeah.
Share screen. We're gonna share the Jeopardy template. Now, can everybody see it?
Ooh,
Yep.
a 5x4.
Yep.
Okay, so
Okay.
I didn't go 4 categories only because I didn't want it to go on too long. As you can see, I have your guys' names at the bottom for your point totals. For the categories, I have draft day, essentially players that were drafted during that time, what player was drafted at what number, or I might say something like which one of these 4 players was a number 1 overall pick, something of that nature. Whose number, as I found in the last game, a lot of you guys don't know jersey numbers. So whose number is where that comes from. NBA history, I think that's self-explanatory. And check the record books has to do with record-breaking performances, record holders, and things of that nature. Now, I don't know how you guys want to do the order. Do y'all want to go in the order that shows at the bottom, or how do y'all want to do it?
So I have a question first. So for the whose number, like, is that gonna say like the team and like the jersey number? Is that what it is? Like the team it is and the jersey number?
For example, one of the first ones I have is what player wore number X for this team this past season.
Okay.
But it gets harder as you go down. So like as you get to the end, it's what other number did this player wear other than whatever.
Okay, and then should we I feel like we should buzz in to signify who's going. You know what I mean?
Definitely. So you guys can say buzz. Obviously I'm gonna hear it. And then whichever person I hear first, that's who I'm gonna call on. But let me go ahead and share my screen one more time because I didn't know I could share it from 2 separate sides, which is actually great.
We
Just so
we
that
should
I can.
do custom
Whoa.
or our own buzzing words, so it's easy to differentiate who it is.
Well, you could say
Yeah,
your
that
name
might-
if
that
you
might-
want to do that.
Yeah, but I feel like Devin's gonna be screwed. I guess never mind. Because he could just say Devin. I thought he'd say run the NBA.
Run.
I'll just say gel or something like that.
Okay, actually, to start order, I'll do this. Each of you pick a number. Actually, let me write the number down.
I think we should all
first.
just say Buzz because I don't know what I could say. I'd be either Garrett or Super Mario.
Say hoops.
I don't know.
I mean,
Okay,
whatever. I can distinguish you guys' voices, so I don't think
Yeah.
it's too much
Okay.
of an issue. So everyone pick a number between. We'll go 1 and 15.
11.
You said
13.
11.
I said 11. Jelson said 12, and Jay said what?
13.
Give me
What did
9.
you say, Devin and Mo?
I'm going 9.
Okay,
Oh,
Mo.
Freaking Devin. Don't do it.
Yeah, are you muted, Mo?
I was muted. I had also said 12, but yeah.
So pick another number.
4.
All right.
Oh, Mo's gonna get it.
So Devin was the first closest.
Was it 8?
It was 7, actually.
Damn.
Devin was the first closest. Then Mo. Then Garrett would be 3rd. Jelson 4th, and Jay is 5th.
Like usual.
So we pick in that order as well, or
in terms of category, now if you get it right, then you get to pick whatever category and number you want. So as of right now, this is the order. Just real quick, I was just doing that to see who goes first. It wasn't really first, second, third, fourth.
Yeah.
Everyone
So-
else here to fucking lose.
So basically, Devin, you're gonna pick your category and your point total, and then whoever gets it right, you pick your category and point total till we end the board. And I will say, there is a daily double. I will let you know when you do get to it because I do know which one it is. off the top of my head.
Gabe is rooting for anybody but Jelson.
So Devin, it's your floor.
Mr. Run the NBA.
Let's go draft day for 300.
Draft day for 300.
Buzz.
What pick?
You have to wait
Can
until
I-
he reads it
I mean,
out.
No, you don't.
But can I go? or no?
Technically, I was gonna say technically you don't have to. I just
Okay,
can't.
so-
Go ahead.
So can I go then? It's the
Yeah.
13th pick in 1996, Charlotte Hornets. If you need that.
Nah, I
My
just put which
dyslexia is
pick it
gonna be
was.
cooked.
Okay.
That is
Okay.
13.
That was worth 300.
So-
Okay.
Sorry, I
That
thought
was-
we could just go right away. I have to be on my feet. You know what I mean?
Nah,
You
that's,
can-
that's how Jeopardy worked.
You can go right away.
Okay.
If-
So now
If we're doing that, then do y'all want me to not share my screen then so that I can it as the element of me having to read the question?
I mean, we could do that as well if you want, or unless it's up to you guys though.
I don't mind, honestly.
I don't mind
No,
having
I
it
don't
on
If you
screen.
know it, you know it. If you
All
don't,
right.
Yeah.
you're not gonna buzz.
All right.
Garrett, it's on you.
Well, that was pretty good. So I don't know if I want to go with the big one there though. I'm gonna go with 200 NBA history.
What shoe was once banned in the NBA and then subsequent
Buzz.
Mo?
The Air Jordan 1.
And that is correct. It was most specifically his bread ones, but I don't know who does and doesn't know shoes. So
You shoulda made us do.
nah, because
I-
not
I'm
everybody,
okay with
If just
not
just 'cause I
everyone
got it.
knows. So
just because I got it, if he would have specified, I would have said the bread ones.
okay, well,
I don't
I mean,
know,
that
I'm
makes
correct
sense
now,
though
but-
too, because didn't he have to pay a fine every time he wore them?
he did,
Yeah.
and
Nike
then
paid the fine.
eventually they.
It took me a while to comprehend the question. That's tough.
Well,
As
he
soon as
actually
I
came
I
out.
saw band and shoe. I knew
Yeah, I
it.
was gonna say
Yeah,
he
me
actually
too.
came out with the Jordan 1 called Band, so that kind of makes it easier there too.
I'm gonna be real. I'm not the biggest shoe guy. It might be surprising.
And that's exactly why I didn't
Yeah.
say Red One specifically.
Dang.
But
All right.
it is
Sure.
on you. Hey, and actually, Mo, I don't know if you peeped your name down there, but I think that might be a better name for you and your channel. Mo Sports Historian. But Mosh, that shit kind of fire to me. But
The mosh
Maybe.
pit.
As far as this Jeopardy goes, let's go with whose number for 200.
you weren't the best at it. But what current player
Ooh.
wore number 19 for the Toronto Raptors this past season?
Buzz.
I heard Jay first.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm feeling like it's Chris Boucher.
You said, say that one more time.
Chris Boucher.
That is, I believe it. Yeah, that's incorrect, brother. He was number 25. JELSON was the
I
next
think I
buzz
know
that
it.
I heard.
I'll buzz
Gary
after Joe.
Trent.
That is also incorrect. He wore number 33. I heard Garrett say he would buzz after.
Okay, I'm not 100% sure on this. Hope it's not someone obvious because it's crazy for 200. I'm gonna go Malachi Flynn.
That was a good guess because I almost chose him, but that is incorrect. He wore 22.
I feel like this
Yo,
is
Devin,
right
you
up
a
for
fake
Devin.
rapper.
Does Mo or
Yeah, I
Devin
know,
want to
I
take
should
it?
know it, but
Uh,
I'm terrible. at
Buzz,
choosing
okay, can I go again?
No.
hell nah.
names.
Are we
Do we have a
cooked?
timer?
I have
Buzz.
about 5
Buzz.
seconds. Go
I'll
ahead, Mo.
buzz. There you go,
Delano
ahead,
Delano Banton.
Wrong.
Guess that.
Devin, do you have a guess
If it
before
was
we
not
go?
Batson. I'm gonna give you Otto Porter.
That is also incorrect. The
That's a good
correct
guess.
answer
Damn, bro.
is, and that was a great guess, Jakob Pertl. He was number 19 for the
Tough.
Raptors. Damn, I didn't even realize that was a
Dang.
tough question. We're
I haven't comprehended
been
his
one.
jersey number since he's got traded yet.
Yeah. Same.
It's back on you
that
again.
does
Mo.
actually make sense though.
All right, let me get
I
draft day
should've
for
known that.
100.
You said 100.
Yep.
All right. How many teams are in the draft
Buzz.
lottery? Garrett.
So, okay, so this question is like how many spots for the draft lottery, right? Like that's basically what it's asking.
Yeah,
Okay, so
basically.
14.
You are correct.
Okay, because I'm like I didn't know if you
What
meant this
answer was
past
How many
year.
points was that for?
100.
100.
100.
Oh, okay. I was about to say.
I didn't know. If, see, like
the
the only thing I was confused with is like if there was a team that was in the lottery twice, like this past
Oh,
year.
no.
and I
I
was
just
like-
meant.
And I was
Nah.
like, wait, I might not buzz in then.
No. I just meant like lottery picks in general, regardless. But it's on you
Okay.
one more time.
I don't know how much I want to go for a 300 because if Mo gets it, then he'll have the lead. But
No way, baby.
there's not many 200s or 100s left, so I'm gonna go. Who's number? No, I'm gonna go NBA history 300 actually.
What ex NBA player had his jersey?
Buzz.
Garrett.
Oh wait, this might be wrong actually because I don't know for sure. But I'm gonna
He
go.
buzzed
I'm
so
gonna
quick.
I'm gonna go with Wilt Chamberlain. Is
Buzz.
it no?
You would be correct.
Oh,
Let's
Damn
go.
it.
He
Yeah, 'cause
only
he was
played
with
1 year
them,
on the
but I'm like,
team, and it
yeah.
was retired in 2000. But
Yeah.
when he played with the team, it was like way back when. I don't recall the year. That one.
I didn't know if it was a
300?
trick question or not because I was like, wait a second.
That one was a 300-point question.
Yep.
Yep.
I think you
okay.
can just hit the plus and add it on there too.
Yeah.
Like
Bro,
it'll
this
add
is
the
a
right
test
amount.
of-
Oh, I
Read
see
the
it because it
fastest.
shows it on the top. Okay.
Okay, now I feel a little bit more confident. We can go who's number 300 now.
What player wears number
Oh,
9?
Pause,
on
pause,
his
or
jersey?
buzz.
Come on.
JELSON.
Number 9. I might get this wrong. I'm not gonna lie to
You
you.
better
Wait,
not,
you can't
bro.
buzz if you don't know it.
No, I'm guessing.
But you're thinking.
Yeah,
though,
you-
bro.
Was it
What?
Nikhil
Yeah,
Alexander Walker?
you got
You
like
gotta
what?
know it.
Say it again.
And Nikhil Alexander Walker.
And you would be
Yeah,
good
good guess.
That
That's a
was
great guess,
cheap,
Charles.
bruh.
No,
Literally
Nikhil
up his
Alexander-
alley. The guy had to think about it.
No, I knew it was Nikhil. That was like my first guess, but I was just like, okay, whatever.
It's all
Whatever.
good. It's your world,
It's
Justin.
fine.
We need to get Devin and Jay on the board.
No, we don't.
Who's number?
Jay, come
who's
on.
number for
What you
500?
doing?
Oh, you're going big. What is the third
Buzz.
number that?
Oh wait.
Who said
I
that?
didn't even think about
Me,
it.
I did.
Go ahead.
I ain't gonna lie. It did.
I think I'm a buzz after.
Is it 17?
No, I don't.
I'm a-
No, hold on. Let
I'm-
me make sure because I don't. I'm pretty sure it wasn't that. But yeah,
Okay.
no, it wasn't that.
So I'm buzzing after.
You're next. You're next, Garrett.
Yeah. I might be wrong. So it
This
wasn't.
one's a tough one. I'm not gonna lie.
I feel like, man, I don't remember the freaking Rockets days. I feel like it's 4. Is it 4?
And Garrett is correct. Numero 4.
Let's
That's
go.
That's a great one.
That
That's a
was
good one.
huge right there. I
So
had a feeling,
far-
but I'm like, man.
So far, Garrett is mopping the floor with you guys, but there are plenty of 400 and 500 on the board for the rest of the pack to catch up. So,
Bro, you can add everyone's score together. I'm still winning.
Only 2 other people have points.
if
bro.
it was, I'm gonna be
Hey,
honest,
man,
if it was me,
it might end that way. I don't know.
if it was me, I wouldn't take that. But Garrett,
But you know what I'm gonna take right now? I'm gonna take draft day 400.
love it. Of the players listed,
Buzz.
I heard Garrett first.
Oh my god, I can't even read that fast.
Apparently,
The
yeah.
answer is the
That's so
answer.
cap.
Alan
Fuck off,
Iverson.
Garrett. That's cap.
And
Definitely
Garrett
first.
continues to mop
was
the floor
definitely
with
How
the
is that
pack.
400? Like,
Yeah, what the hell?
I
That
can't-
was
I
fun.
can't
Bro,
read
you gotta
that,
know your
no.
stuff. man.
Okay, so what we're not gonna do is question the games maker
Facts.
it was
You-
5 in the
because-
morning when you was
because I
making
was-
Jelson
Hey,
and Keyholder Steph have
you
been
had-
at beef all.
you had the opportunity to be in this position, but you are not here. So what we're not gonna do is question this and make sure we get our answers correctly. Maybe read some more books. I don't know.
The
But
I'm
only
gonna be real.
Jeopardy host we
Jelson should
questioned-
have 0, man. If it weren't for that Wolves question, come on, man.
The only Jeopardy
So-
host we questioned is Gabe. He's got a fraudulent record.
That is fair. That is facts, bro. The day Gabe hosts, I'm worried. But anyways,
It's back on you.
we have touched 3/4 of the board. We haven't touched 1/4 of it. And let's go to check the record books 300.
Who holds the records for the most assists
Ooh.
in one
Buzz.
half? Jay.
I'll buzz
All right.
after.
I ain't gonna lie. I'm gonna have to go with Garrett's guy, Oscar Robinson.
That is incorrect.
I'm also buzzing. After
And now,
Okay, so wait.
go ahead.
Okay, so I think I was gonna buzz next.
Yeah.
This might
I
be
got
a
after
gamble. He doesn't have the most in a game, but I don't think he'd put him because I feel like that'd be so obvious for 300. So I'm gonna go out of left field a little bit. Give me Kevin Porter Sr.
No, sir.
Oh, okay, I feel like that was a good guess though.
It
Dang.
was a very good guess.
Okay. Dang. I don't know this then.
Buzz.
Well, Devin and then you.
Yeah.
wait, I said after. What?
No. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I
Keep
didn't hear you,
taking
Justin.
this.
So
I didn't
Devin,
hear that.
Jelson, and then Mo.
Yeah. Give me Steve Nash.
No, sir.
Mhm.
Hey, give me Jason Kidd.
No, sir.
Give me Scott Skiles.
And all answers are incorrect. It
Damn
is Bob Cousy.
Uzi.
I'm
Yeah.
surprised no one guessed Stockton though. That's who
yeah,
I
that-
thought
I
was the
am shocked
obvious.
about
Fraud.
that.
That was the obvious one I
It was
saw.
too odd.
and
I knew it wasn't. I knew
Yeah.
it wasn't him.
But he had 12
Cousy had
points in the
28
first
in a
quarter
game, I
and
think.
31 points to go with it. Like, dude was insane. When I
Is
saw
that the game
yesterday-
he got 28 assists in or no?
I believe so, because he didn't break the
Okay.
record that game. I don't
Yeah.
think.
That's
Um,
fine.
Skiles is a good
That's
guess.
fine.
It is
Oh.
still on you, Garrett, for the category and point total.
That's fine. We'll go with check the record books 400.
Who is the owner?
Buzz.
Of
Buzz.
I'm a buzz in.
I heard
believe I know
Garrett.
this.
Yeah.
I believe I know this.
That's so
I don't think any of you guys would get this either, and I'm 99% sure I know who it is. Elmore Smith.
That's your answer.
I'm gonna go with it. Yeah.
It is
Who?
Elmore
Yeah,
Smith.
bro.
He
Let's
had
go,
17, averaged 2.9.
Bro,
But
who is that, bro?
being
you need to
sabotaged
get
by
in these
the
record books,
Bro,
bro.
you gotta get in the
I
record
don't care
books,
about
man.
no Elmore Smith.
Well, you
Bro, then
should,
you're gonna
because-
lose.
You should, because he was a monster when it came to blocks.
Bro, I'm not gonna lie. You guys are gonna let Jelson get second? Come on.
This
That's
is
kind of
nasty.
crazy.
Garrett,
kinda
you're
crazy.
up one
know
more
what?
time.
Let's go draft day 500.
Who is the
Buzz.
number one?
Buzz.
Jeez.
Dude, I couldn't
Yep.
even read it.
Yep. Andrew Bogut.
100% Andrew Bogut.
I'm not messing around, man. I'm not gonna be here for a week. I gotta get this W.
Nah, Garrett is going crazy right
I'm
now.
going
We won't even have a
crazy.
key holder for next week or for next stream because he's
Hey
gone.
man, but I get to decide it. I get to have a influence in it.
That is
You guys,
very true.
come on, man. Wait, let me see.
Wait,
this
does that mean
score stuff.
second place gets key holder for
800.
next?
The
for
scores
next
18.
currently are
Nah. I get to decide it then.
the scores currently are Garrett 2,500,
Two.
Jelson 300, Mo 200, and Devin and Jay with an unfortunate 0.
So basically, I think if I get a 200, I clinch a win already. So
That's
No,
what it's
'cause there's
looking
a
like.
daily double that hasn't.
Oh yeah, you haven't got the
yeah,
daily
that
double
is-
yet.
that is true. I'm gonna go draft day 200 though. Still,
Who is
Buzz.
Buzz.
I heard Jelson that time.
Oh,
First
it must have been the
overall
lag.
pick in 2018 was Zion Williamson.
Wait, let me buzz. Wait,
Wait.
did I get next or who was next? Then?
Wait,
You were incorrect, Jelson.
Dude, wait, no, I was the year.
You
off.
already
Oh my
said it.
God.
Who was
That's
who was the next buzz though? Steph.
It was
I'm not gonna
actually-
lie. The next person I heard was Mo.
I know
Oh,
that
okay.
answer now.
No
then-
way,
in the
you just
2000
folded,
in the
Jelson. Oh my
2018
Dude, I was a
draft,
year off. Oh
in the
my God.
2018 draft, the number 1 overall pick was DeAndre Ayton. Actually,
Yeah.
And you are correct.
I can't believe
Bro, I
did that.
swear-
Folded.
I swear I
Folded.
buzzed in first, but I must have got screwed by lag there. That's
Dude,
fine.
it wasn't
might
even
been
close.
'cause- Nah,
That's
no way
okay.
you did that, Justin. You folded. It's on you, Mo. Category
Mm.
and point total.
give me NBA history 400.
And
I was
this
gonna go with
is
that one.
the do
Daily double. I
daily
knew this would be me.
double. Who are the two
Buzzed,
NBA teams
buzzed.
that have never moved?
Garrett definitely.
Oh
buzzed first,
wait. So I have a question. So when you're asking this, do you mean like teams that started out at the beginning of the NBA and have never moved? Like the beginning of the time for the NBA and have never moved?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna go with the Boston Celtics and the New York Knicks.
And you are
go.
correct.
Because I'm like the Bulls franchise has technically never moved, but like we were also
It was
like
the Chicago Stags at first.
Yeah, but that was the Wizards franchise technically though. So like that,
And then that
yeah.
would give you 3,300.
bruh. Come on, man. It's just it's
Alright,
easy.
Garrett,
Should I
Garrett,
just start
let me-
Not
mopping the
gonna
floor
lie.
right now?
Not gonna lie.
Garrett,
not gonna lie.
you're
what
out of it now
probably
that you got
shoulda
first.
did-
No,
probably shoulda
bruh. I
hit
got
Steph's screen because he
Bruh, I
buzzed
got-
it in at the side of the
Hey,
question.
listen,
No,
I
you
asked
gotta
you
read
guys.
it,
man.
You
Dude,
should've
I asked
read
you
it.
guys-
And that is
Not even
fair,
fair.
yeah.
Like he's like not even. He
He
reads
did
it
ask
after
if
he
we
buzzes.
wanted
He
if we
reads
wanted
it
to read it,
after,
and
But
then
I
go.
did ask you.
He asked us,
Yep,
and we didn't
everyone-
reject, so this our fault.
Yep, it's on you guys.
Now,
Anyways,
hold on. Before we continue, 1,
Okay.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. For these last 8, would you like to hide the screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Nah, honestly, it don't
My
matter.
dyslexia cannot do this.
I'm
Alright.
fine as it is, to
All
be honest.
right, Garrett.
You got 0 points, so it don't really.
we
matter.
can hide the screen since the majority is complaining like softies.
Bro, you already run, bro.
Nah,
You already run.
The only thing is though now I don't know what's on the board. I think it was like what NBA history
It's
500
so
is that there?
We have NBA history for 100 and 500. Who's number for 100 and 400? And check the record books for 1, 2, and 5.
Okay, I'll do NBA history 500 then.
All right. How many NBA games throughout history have been played on Christmas Eve?
Buzz.
Garrett?
I feel like this might be the obvious answer, but I'm gonna go with 0.
Incorrect.
Oh no, I think there was a cup.
Buzz.
Mo?
I'm gonna go with. It can't be that many because they don't really play on Christmas Eve. I know Christmas is the game. I'm gonna go with 4.
Incorrect. I think
Was-
Justin was
that's good.
next.
8.
Incorrect.
I feel like that's too many.
This is your chance to get on the
Say the
board,
question
Jay
one
and
more time.
Devin.
Say it one more time.
How many NBA games throughout history have been played on Christmas Eve?
On Christmas Eve, shit. I'm gonna go with about like 15 of them.
No, sir.
That's way too,
That's crazy.
that's way too many, bro.
I'm just shocked that y'all keep going up.
I'm gonna buzz and say 1.
It's
Ooh,
probably-
you were the closest.
It's 2.
It was 2.
Dude.
I was the closest.
I think one of them was Was it not? How long ago was it? Because I think Oscar
It was
Robertson
a
played on one of
long,
them.
yeah. Oscar was in one of them, and like
Yep.
before, I don't remember who the other one was because it was like way long ago.
Okay. So
What we have left is who's number for 1 and 4, NBA history for 1, and check the record books for 1, 2, and 5.
we'll do check the record books for 500.
Who is the record holder for the most minutes in a single game?
But
Regular season only.
Buzz.
Y'all got to
I'll-
do that again because I didn't.
It was either like Jelson or somebody
Yeah, I
else.
heard
It was
Jelson, but I heard
Mo.
someone else at the same
was
time,
Mo
so I
first.
couldn't. It was Mo
Oh,
first.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
you
I don't
said
know this
regular
one,
season
actually.
game.
Mhm.
I'm going to say
I'll buzz after
Wilt
Jelson.
Chamberlain.
Incorrect.
Fuck.
Jelson.
Give me Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Incorrect.
Okay, so I'm buzzing after Jelson. I think I know exactly what game it is and what two teams it was. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with. Shoot, was he on the team then?
You got 5 seconds.
I'm gonna just go with Adrian Dantley. I don't think that's
No,
right.
sir.
Yeah, I think I know.
Devin and Jay.
Devin.
I'm gonna go with. I feel like I heard this before. I swear to God, I heard this before.
I
but,
saw it on 2K like 2 days ago.
I'm gonna go with Larry Bird.
No, sir.
Hell no, not with his back problem.
Devin.
He's
I
on
ain't got
Basketball
no
Reference.
idea. I'm gonna be honest.
You said what?
I ain't got no idea. I'm gonna keep it a buck.
You could throw a name
Throw
out
the
there.
white flag, but I'll throw a name in there that's wrong, and I'll just give Kyle Lowry.
No,
All
no way you
reliable.
just- Well, the answer is Dale Ellis with 69 minutes in a game that had 4 overtimes.
Oh my
I
that
god.
the
should have
highest
gotten
scoring game
that
of all
because no, that was the that's what I was thinking of with the Nuggets and Pistons. That's the one I was thinking of. But and I was thinking like I was gonna guess English or Dantley, but I didn't know if Dantley was on the Pistons then. I couldn't remember.
So what we
that's
have
fine.
left is check the record books for 1 and 2, NBA history for 1, and who's number for 1 and 4.
You know what? I'll let Devin decide where are we going this time.
Let's go. Who's number for 400?
Okay.
You better get this. Other than
Aw.
23 or 45, what other number has
Buzz.
Buzz.
Damn it.
Garrett?
It's number 12 when he got his jersey stolen.
Yep, you are
Wait, who was the
correct.
player?
Jordan.
Jordan.
It was
Michael
Michael
Jordan.
Jordan.
You couldn't tell by 23 and 45, bro.
Yeah, I thought you were gonna. Come on, bro.
How much was that
I didn't
again?
know either, Jay.
That was
Oh, that was
400.
400?
Mhm.
Oh, that's let's go.
That
But-
was
So what are we
easy.
gonna-
That was
As far as the people that like I talk to, they never know that Jordan's ever worn 12. So that's why I thought 400 was a good place for that.
It's two Bulls fans here.
What we have left are who's number 100, NBA history 100, and check the record books for 1 and 200. Now, here's a twist because I did not tell anyone this. The rest of the point values are tripled.
That's
I think
fine.
we're still
I don't think
fucked.
anyone. I don't think anybody can catch me.
Let's go.
You said there's one for check the record books 200.
Yes.
Okay, we'll take that one.
Who is the only NBA player in history to be top 100 in all-time points, rebounds, assists, steals?
Buzz.
Go ahead.
I think I know who this is. Oh shoot. This is a 200-point question, correct?
Yes.
Points, rebounds,
Buzz
assists,
after.
steals, blocks.
And you didn't let me finish because there is more stats, but
Oh, okay. Well, that's shoot. That's what I got.
yeah, you kind of fuck yourself over.
I did, but I'm like, someone's gonna buzz in. Okay, so I'm gonna just go with Hakeem Olajuwon.
No, sir.
Okay.
Now,
Can you finish the question
For the
please?
rest, yeah, I was gonna say for
Bro,
the-
I gotta jump on it. They're tripling the points on me, man.
Who is the only NBA player in history to be top 100 all time in points, rebounds, assists, steals, blocks, and 3-pointers? all time?
Buzz.
Go ahead, Jelson.
Dirk Nowitzki.
What the fuck? No.
Well,
That's a crazy guess, bro. You were that ready to buzz dirt.
I got.
Buzz.
Wait, I
You
got
didn't.
LeBron.
Wait, did you say Buzz?
Me,
I think
yeah,
Jay
I was.
buzzed.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
go
I did
ahead.
not hear Jay
Man,
buzz.
he
I
was
didn't
like
hear it
shit.
either. All I heard was
Yeah.
I got.
Nah, all right, so
Yeah, no.
I got LeBron James.
Yeah, that's
you
probably it.
are correct.
I'm on the board. Let's go.
The only reason I was thinking LeBron, but I'm like, if it's 200, like I feel like 100 it'd be LeBron. You know what I
I
mean?
feel like that's.
Like,
I don't think
I
he
feel
buzzed
that.
in.
I
but-
feel like
But-
it'd be like a little too obvious.
I
I'm
will
sure
say
Don't
this.
hate.
I was
Don't hate.
And I was
I will
thinking
say
rebounds,
this.
so I was like, Dirk shot threes and he got bored. and
Bro,
assists.
Jelson, that was a horrible.
Nah,
guess,
that
bro.
was
Come
an
on.
insane
That was
guess. I'm not
horrible.
gonna lie.
Top 100
But-
steals.
All right,
Jay
You're right.
has-
You're right.
Jay has quickly entered second place with that one question answered. So,
Yeah.
That's crazy,
Hey,
bro.
so all we have left is who's number for 100, NBA 100 or NBA history for 100, and check the record books for 100.
Hey, we go and check the record books for one.
Who is the only player in NBA history to average a double-double?
Buzz. You said,
Wait.
You said.
Well,
A double-double.
A triple-double. My apologies.
What the
Triple
hell,
double.
bro?
Triple-double.
Wait,
Triple-double.
There's more than one player.
Wait.
Yes, but I'm speaking. This doesn't include modern times.
Buzz.
Wait, I already buzzed.
Oh,
Wait,
they
I
already
buzzed.
buzzed.
After him.
They
After
already
him.
buzzed.
But
All right, so I got. Wait, you
y'all
said
didn't
the
let me
first.
fucking
Correct.
finish. But what?
You said the first.
I
Yes,
said
he
the
first.
yeah, basically
said
first.
the-
That's essentially what the question is asking. Yes,
Like, can I get the full question repeated? Just
that's what the question is
No,
asking.
you
The
gotta
first player
go.
to
You
average a
buzzed in.
triple double.
Oscar Robbins.
God,
Yeah.
dang.
That's
kinda
kind of
forgot-
a
listen,
Mickey Mouse
listen,
vibe.
I-
that one. You
I'm
fucked
not
up the
gonna lie.
questions.
I kind of forgot Russell Westbrook was a person, but
Disrespect.
But when you said the only, I was thinking like, wait,
And he
what?
said
And
My bad.
If you
That's
said
my
the,
bad.
the first, I would have instantly. That's yeah.
no, that's
dang.
my bad because the big O definitely. Yeah. Well,
Dang, I'm getting cheesed out here, but it's okay.
Hey, we
Jay-
gotta get these points any way we
Jay,
can, bro.
you have quickly got to 900 points. Last two we have is
You need
who's
them.
number for 100 and NBA history for 100.
Hey, we going NBA history for 100.
This action or ritual is used to this day to kick off an NBA game.
Buzz.
But in the past, go ahead, Mo.
Oh,
Oh damn.
I'll buzz in after.
You
that.
didn't know there was a second part to it.
Oh no, I won't actually buzz in then after.
Okay, since I didn't know the second part, tip off.
You're still correct.
Okay.
Oh,
What I was
thinking
gonna
about that.
say,
Oh.
but in the past, it was done after every single basket, and it
Oh,
is
how much-
the
yeah,
jump
I
ball.
wouldn't have changed it.
How much does
That-
Mo have?
800?
Total 700.
700.
Okay.
What the hell?
You had 4 before, and
Mo, you're letting
Yeah.
you're letting Jay beat you. You're going out like
Listen,
this.
listen, bro. Points are
After all the
fucking
talk you
tripled. I
did?
can't do shit about that. And
So-
you messed up the last question.
Hey,
So
big
the
Bro,
last-
you need them like you need like them the points quintupled to even get half of my score, bro. Come on.
Brother,
You were
I'm not.
you were
Mo,
talking big about me. Come on.
No, I'm not gonna lie. Me messing up that last question had nothing to do with how bad you're losing right now. But
Okay.
we're gonna go
But
on
I
to the
would've
next
still been second
question
place.
because I am key holder and I don't want to hear what he has to say in response, only because I want to win the argument.
All
The
right.
last, the,
Ratioed on
Fucking
live stream is
stuff, bro.
crazy.
That man's a hoe.
That's
the
crazy.
last question, and Mo, you better get this. What player wore number 3 for the Chicago Bulls? this
Buzz.
past- Garrett said it first. Come on, bro.
Oh shoot.
It was Mo.
It was Mo.
Shoot.
Did you, hold on. Before you go, Garrett, did y'all hear Mo first?
Well, I heard Mo.
I heard Mo before me though. So I don't know.
That nigga
I'll
ran
let
away.
him go, and if he doesn't, I'll go after.
Go ahead, Mo.
He needs the points anyways.
All right. So you said number 3, correct?
Yep.
Yep.
Andre Drummond.
You will
There you
be
go.
correct. And you overtook second place by 100 points. The point total
In a Mickey
to-
Mouse way.
Of
I
course,
gave
we
him a
know.
Mickey Mouse one back because he complained about the triple.
Fuck
Wait, show the
you.
full scores and stuff. Can you
I
share the
got
screen
you.
again?
Here we go.
Go show my
Devin,
goose egg, everyone.
Goose egg, bro. Devin.
That shit crazy. Devin, you got
Jelson, in all fairness, bro, you got one of the more Mickey Mouse questions too.
Mickey Mouse questions. It was a 300-point question. You literally
yeah,
only
but
got
you-
Mickey
no,
Mouse
you-
questions.
your team though.
Oh yeah,
Just
the guy who
one-
has
Like,
3,700 points only got Mickey Mouse
Four
questions
of
the whole
questions
time.
Garrett answered were about the Bulls, bro. Four.
Bro, you didn't even know who Elmore
Here's the
Smith
thing.
was.
Hold on. Here's the thing. Here's the thing, though. It's not his fault that he kept getting it right and got to pick
Facts.
the category and place
Yeah.
But
two.
he
'Cause
doesn't
to be
matter.
honest-
It doesn't matter.
Because to be honest, one of his choices is the reason why you got 300 points in the first place.
It
That's
would have been
facts.
chosen anyway.
Mm.
It would have been chosen eventually.
It would
That
have
don't mean
been,
you- that don't
but
mean
You
But
might
shit,
not have been
bro.
ready though.
Ready? What?
Hey, all I'm gonna say though is
And you buzzed
Bruh.
in mad early and took time to think, bro.
all I'm gonna say though, again, easy work. Easy work.
You fucking loser, bro.
I love it.
Well, technically he ain't a loser. Technically I am.
Devin though, because
Still,
Devin
it's
did
tough.
not talk trash to me, but hey, the rest of you guys that were saying you're going down, hey man, pull that. You know what? Can you pull that score thing back up real quick?
I got you.
Pull it up
This
one more
nigga's
time.
loaded, bro.
There you
We
go.
just need to pull it up one more
Amen.
time. So we got 1,903. Bro, you could have added your guys' score together and it still wouldn't have mattered. Simple.
Man, that's a way to
Simple.
go. Night Triker, you are
literally-
unfortunately very, very late to the stream, my brother. We are starting to close. I
Bro,
appreciate
Crazy.
we appreciate each and every person that came out, watched the stream, commented, did all those amazing things for us. If you are still watching to the stream to this point and you haven't subscribed yet, I don't know what you're doing.
What you
Go ahead
doing,
and hit
bro?
that subscribe button. Go ahead and hit that notification bell so that you know when we go live on Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday. And make sure y'all drop a like on this one. It is KOT signing off. We appreciate all you guys. We are out.
Out of there.
Peace.